Hey everybody, welcome back to the stream. Hope you're all having a good afternoon. Welcome Kevel, welcome WoW Lagmaster. Hey everybody, hey, welcome back to the stream.
Dilda
Hope you're all
Putty
having a
and K
good
Styles. Welcome guys,
afternoon.
welcome. Sorry, let me mute my stream really quick. There we go. Sorry, could hear myself. Hard to talk.
Okay, today's gonna be kind of an info dump stream. So we have kind of a lot to talk about. So if any of you guys are here and are interested in either the new Dungeonborne project going on, Mistfall that comes later this month, or Dark and Darker season coming in about a week. We're going to go over everything that is new, that's upcoming. So we have a Dungeonborne gameplay trailer, so we'll be able to actually see hands-on gameplay of what the game is going to look like. Fun fact, the developer for I call it Dungeonborne because Dungeon Betwixt is like a bad name, and the developer for the game has acknowledged that the name did not translate very well to English. Apparently, that is part of the problem. It sounds better in other languages, supposedly. But it's basically Dungeonborne 2, and you'll kind of see from the gameplay that I'm going to show you. So yeah, we're going to go over everything today, and kind of go over my thoughts on just, what's all going on. So let's start off today with the dungeon, the Dungeon Betwixt trailer, and this will be actual gameplay, and then we'll go into maybe we'll go into the Dark and Darker trailer from there, and then we'll go into some of the Mistfall info. So I want to kind of go over everything. Hey everybody, welcome. Hey Girless, hey Login, hey everybody. Dark and Darker's, yeah, Dark and Darker's yeah, this trailer, it's gonna be interesting. I'm not sure. I'm always like so skeptical on calling anything from Iron Mace, like new seasons. I'm always like skeptical calling it good until we get our hands on it. I will say this Dungeonborne trailer, I've watched a piece of it. It does say audio placeholder. I was gonna say, I wanted to mention, I didn't realize this audio placeholder thing was here. I'm glad it is, because the audio doesn't sound very good in the trailer. So I'm going to suspend my criticism of the audio, because I know the game is still early on. So we're just gonna pretend like the audio is gonna sound normal. So just keep that in mind, obviously. So this is what the new, yeah, if you're just now joining now, this is what the new Dungeonborne project that is by the same developers, Mithril Studio, is going to look like whenever it releases in the coming months or whatever. Again, the trailer, the audio is not as it will be in the game. It is a placeholder for now. So the audio is going to sound a little bit weird, but just bear with just bear with me here. Or bear with them, I guess, whatever. So even though the audio is a little bit scuffed, we'll still be able to kind of get an idea of what the game's going to look like, which I think is important. Just right off the bat, I want to talk a little bit about just the aesthetic of the dungeon. I think aesthetic-wise, from what I've seen so far, I think it looks good overall. Like, I feel like if I was like to play this game right now, and again, ignoring the audio, whatever, I think the game just looks aesthetically good. I don't know if anyone else would chime in on that thought process there, but at least for me personally, I feel like the game looks I think it looks good. Yeah, it has a very open feel to it. It kind of has I know it's not Castle, but I always thought Clothos Castle was the better map of the two in Dungeonborne, and Clothos Castle was a lot more open of a map, so maybe that's kind of what they're going for, is the more open like feel, perhaps. So one thing that they've added to this, what they've added as far as updating the gameplay goes, the staff charges, the fire staff, it has charging now. I don't remember. I remember that Pyro had a charging mechanic where you could basically preload a strong, large fireball and throw it at people. It looks like now there is a little circle bar that continuously basically overlaps to indicate that you've charged your fireball a certain number of times. So I think it goes 3 times total. And then it has a very similar, like, damage number to enemy players. Also, it looks like, from what we can tell, there is no friendly fire, because that was pretty damn close to him, like, when he shot that fireball out. There's almost no way, like, right here, that definitely hit him for sure, hit his shoulder, and his health bar in the left corner did not go down, it looks like, unless I'm tripping. Yeah, it did not go down at all. So, unlike Dark and Darker, the new Dungeonborne game will not have friendly fire, which doesn't surprise me because Dungeonborne never had friendly fire either. So it's not like this is like big news really, but you know, it's still important to know because for all we know, the devs could have decided to change it, but it looks like they did not. Also, I don't know if you noticed here, I think they're doing a dodge. You see, like, when they're going across the bridge? Here? Yeah, this little, like, hop here. So it looks like there's a little bit of a dodge, and you can see a stamina bar under their mana and health in the top left corner. I'm not really sure exactly how we'll feel about a dodge system in Dungeonborne, or whatever they're going to call the game when they finalize that. So Misfall Hunter does have dodges, and I think it works pretty well for that game's combat. However, Dungeonborne never had a dodge feature, and I'm not exactly sure how Dungeonborne's combat is going to translate with a dodge function, because Misfall and DB are very different games. No, if you're just now joining, we just started. So the dad trailer, that's gonna be next. I haven't gotten there yet. We're starting with the DB trailer, and then we're gonna go to the dad trailer. Yep. Yeah, we're not there yet. It's also worth mentioning, no friendly fire either. So it looks like Pyromancer, similar to Dungeonborne, can hold the fire charge. So remember, like, Pyros could basically just hold it and walk around the map. It looks like they're going with that direction again. I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that. I kind of think balance-wise, Pyro always should have had some kind of timer where they have to let the fireball go. Because having Pyros hold fireball forever, at least I thought was kind of maybe a little bit weird. You might obviously have a different opinion than that, but I kind of feel like the fireball charge should have at least some kind of end timer, even if it's long. Like, call it like 10 or 15 seconds or something. It can be a decent bit. I don't need it to be instant. But I do remember like having Pyros just walking around the entire game charging forever, which it felt a little bit silly. But again, also no friendly fire and no self damage either, because that fireball is clearly in range to hit and it won't touch you. So it looks like Pyro is going to be able to hold their fireball and then just let it go right at their feet, and they will not take damage. So unlike Dark and Darker, where, like, you know, in Dad, Wizard just has fireballs and it'll just, if you know, as a wizard, if you hit your feet with a fireball, you'll take damage. That's how it is. It does not appear that that is the case in this game they're building. I mean, of course, that could change. This is early gameplay, but, you know, that's how it is right now. Also, in the bottom left corner, we have 3 different skills, Q, T, and E. So it looks like they're going away with what was in... They're not going like the Dark and Darker route, where it's only Q and E. It looks like there is going to be possibly more total skills that you can use in-game. So there might be a little bit more variety in terms of having, like, the number. I don't know if every class will have 3, because Misfall Hunter, it depends on the class. Some classes have 2, some have 3, and some have more than 3. So it's hard to say if the Mithril developers are going to copy or, you know, maybe just modify it based on the character. I'm not 100% sure. You have friendly fire, but you have a passive ability not to deal damage to your own. Furoni, in which game are you referring to? Are you talking about Dungeonborne? Because it's been so long that I don't really remember. If you're talking about this new DB game, I'm not aware of any other information like that. Pyro and DB had friendly fire. It made them harder to play in trios. Oh, you know what? You're right. In Dungeonborne, no, you're right. There was a skill, right? Wasn't it fighter perk? So fighter was able to basically eat the damage of pyros in front of you, but other classes would take damage. Okay. I forgot about that. Yeah, it's been so long. I was just kind of immediately I was just kind of thinking that, like, yeah, of course there was no friendly fire. But you're right. It was because of fighters having that perk or skill or whatever it was called. Okay. Well, either way. Makes me wonder if this game is gonna have friendly fire or if it's gonna be based on, it's gonna be based on the class. My god, let me just tell you how nostalgic that little loot pop is, like the sound and the look where the beam comes up. You can hear the beam a little bit more earlier. Hold up, where's that beam at? Here. that little like, blink sound or whatever you want to call it, when you kill an enemy. That's honestly something that's kind of a mechanic that I like, honestly. I kind of like being able to very quickly figure out if the enemy that I kill has good loot or not. I wouldn't mind if that was in Mistfall, to be honest. But yeah, I kind of like that. I always like that system in Dungeonborne versus the longer search mechanics, like Hunger, for example. Not only do you not know what kind of rarity loot an item like an enemy has, but you also have to sit there and identify it. Of course, not the same as Dark and Darker or Mistfall. Well, Mistfall, you have to identify higher rarity items. So honestly, it's funny. It's like different in every game. Basically, every single different extractor has a different way of doing things. But I kind of like the way DB does it personally. Well, the name is being changed. So there's a developer discussion in their Discord, and it seems to be confirmed that at some point the name is going to be changed. He said to consider the name a code name for the game, and then at a certain point they'll re-evaluate. Basically, it seems like the name was a unfortunate English translation issue, and the name sounds better in other languages, but in English, betwixt just isn't really a word that is used, so it just doesn't sound like good in English. So the name is being changed, we just don't know when. So for the time being, I'm not even going to use Dungeon Betwixt. I'm just going to call it Dungeonborne 2 or whatever you want to call it. Because, again, like, the name is going to be changed anyway, so we'll just wait and see what they call it. I think they'll have PvE mode? Yeah, I can't really tell you, man. I couldn't tell you. Dungeonborne was one of the most fun games you played in years when it released. You loved it a lot, but the Life 1 Hit DK was absurdly broken. Yeah, so the reason that Life 1 Hit ruined the game as much as it did is because it turns out that Nexon pretty much let go, like, they let go most of the employees that were working on Dungeonborne. They pulled their funding. So or was it Nexon or Tencent? Is that the same? Are they both under the same company? Is Tencent under Nexon, or am I tripping? I feel like I should know this. Someone remind me if I'm wrong. Tencent, or they're different, right? Tencent is completely separate, or is it the same? Well, Dungeon Reborn was my original suggestion that I gave on my first stream. Yeah, I gave that was like, I mean, that was what I voted for, or what I like suggested first. Well, either way, Tencent removed funding from Dungeonborne completely, and because of that, it's what caused the problems. So there's there's a good thing and a bad thing about this new Dungeonborne project, okay? The good thing is that the developers are no longer part of Tencent. They're their own company. So they're indie, meaning that they don't have to worry about the money from Tencent and basically relying on them being able to make decisions. Like, there's no one that is going to be able to tell this company now that they're broken off that they can or can't do something, okay? The downside is that they don't have the funding of Tencent. So I'm sure at a certain point, this company is going to need money. I'm sure it's either going to be some kind of early access funding or whatever it's going to be. But, you know, it costs money to make games. So I don't know how long they can go for without having any funds. But there, again, there is a pro and a con here, right? So I would say it's more of a pro than a con, considering how it went last time, where Tencent is very clearly not willing to invest in a semi-popular game. It has to be like Arc Raiders level, apparently, for it to do any well, or, you know, for it to be worth investing in for them. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as far as that goes. For what they said they're working on their spare time, well, yeah, I don't think this is, I think this is kind of like a side project for them. I think they're working on it a lot, but I don't think it's the only thing they're doing. They probably have day jobs, or I would assume they have some kind of day job, because they're clearly not making money from this yet. I don't know how long it'll take for them to start making money on it, but, you know, it's kind of time will tell as far as that goes. I don't see how you can get sued over Dungeon Reborn. Could Tencent, I mean, okay, well, let's put the hypothetical out there that, technically speaking, Tencent could sue over the rights of the name of Dungeonborne. I just want to tell you that is really stupid, because Tencent abandoned Dungeonborne, you know, over a year or two ago with no plans to bring back this IP. So I don't know if they can actually sue over Dungeon Reborn or not, but if they could, that's really stupid. I don't know what else to say. It's really, really stupid. So the name of the game right now is Dungeon Betwixt, but this name is a placeholder, and it's going to be changed in the future, primarily because people said it's not very good, and I would agree with that. But yeah, as far as the new name goes, I don't know what they're going to name it. The game is not currently playable. This is the first, like, solid gameplay trailer we've gotten for this game, but it's still pretty early access. Oh, you know, that's a really small thing. You can climb in this game. You notice that? So he falls down under the platform, he climbs up. I don't think Dungeonborne had any climbing feature. I don't think it had any climbing at all, right? As far as I'm aware, there's no, like, that was not a thing in DB. I don't think it was. So that's new. He also climbed up from, like, a spot where I'm surprised he was able to climb up. Although I guess it's just because the animation wasn't fully there. Anyway. I'm just trying to keep an eye on what type of moves Pyromancer has access to. So it looks like Pyro has a fireball, some kind of flame blade, where he hits it in front of himself, and then it's, you know, like a wide arc. Kind of looks like Mistfall's flame blade a little bit. He also has a wall, like a flame wall as well, where he puts it on the ground. It looks like it shoots fire up. God, let me tell you. So, if you're just now joining, by the way, the audio is placeholder. this is not how the game is going to sound when it releases. This is just what it sounds like right now. So if I know it, because I think it sounds kind of weird. I'm just putting it out there that yeah, the audio is it's not like it's going to sound like. Also, yeah, seeing loot piles drop off of bodies. Yeah, seeing loot piles drop off of bodies is so I honestly miss it. I think that was such a cool system. And no other game does that at the moment. None of the other extraction games has a feature like that. I always liked it. Yeah, I'm trying to keep an eye on the skills over here. So it looks like that flame move where he shot fire right in front of him. It looks like that was not a skill. I'm trying to keep an eye on when the skills get used, so I know what is a skill and what is not. So here, he has a Q, a T, and an E. So this Q move gets used right here. That flame wall is, or that wall is not used. It gets canceled when he gets hit. So that's another thing too. I don't believe... Man, it's been so long. So in Dungeonborne, when you got hit, did it cancel your spell? So let's say in Dungeonborne you were a pyro and you were going to cast something and someone hit you. Would it completely negate what you're trying to cast? Or would you be able to cast through it? I'm honestly not sure. Did it depend? Okay. So we're gonna watch the DaD season trailer right after we're done with this. This is kind of an info dump stream, so we're gonna go over Dungeonborne, Dark and Darker, and Mistfall because there's new info for all the games out, and I kind of wanted to talk about everything. So I thought it would just be like a nice little stream to do, to kind of talk about everything. So if a pyro hit you, it cancels, but if a rogue bow hits you, it doesn't. Okay, so pyro having their spells canceled was based on what they got hit by. That sounds about right. Okay. I don't think this will be a 4-hour stream. Probably not. So that's another ability. So he used the Q earlier, then he used the T. So that looks like a... What even is that? Like a shockwave? So probably something to knock players away from you, I guess. Oh, I'm doing good, man. I've actually been playing silently off stream. I posted a video about it this morning. But I've been playing The Calling. There's a restoration private server project that's been going on, and The Calling is a game that I like. That was my channel's identity like 10 years ago. So I've been playing the private servers that they have off stream a bit, which has been pretty fun. I thought about maybe streaming it at some point, but I just haven't really done it yet. All right, so that's Dungeonborne's current gameplay trailer. Not like a huge amount to go off here, besides just kind of some of the nuances of what it looks like Pyromancer can do. So stuff that's new from Dungeonborne versus this new Dungeonborne game that's being made. Dodging, wall climbing, that was not in the game before, is in the game now. It looks like friendly fire is not in the game for this. I didn't see any friendly fire on either of them. However, it's possible that it looks like they're both fighters. So it's possible that they just have, maybe the fighter has a perk again, like Dungeonborne did, where they're resilient to friendly fire. So we actually don't really know how that's going to be yet, but I didn't see any friendly fire during the entire match. Where do I see these clips? This is a trailer. I can send this in the chat here in a minute for you, if you like. Oh, but yeah. So that's pretty much everything. I don't know if there's any. I don't think there's anything else new as far as Dungeonborne goes to talk about. This wasn't really made to be like a strictly Dungeonborne stream or anything, but I did want to show off this trailer. I will link it for you if you want it. I want to watch Dark and Darker's new trailer now. So here. So this is the Dungeonborne trailer. If you want to watch that for yourself, you're welcome to. Well, none of this trailer is AI. At least as far as I can tell. I didn't notice AI during this trailer, at least. I mean, am I wrong? Did you notice AI at all during the, like, 2 minutes? Because I genuinely did not notice any AI here. Yes, they are, yes, yes, Mithril Studios is trying to revive Dungeonborne. That's their goal. So it's not gonna be the same exact game, because they can't do that, but it's very, very similar in terms of gameplay. So they're trying to make a new game to basically bring back the, the highlight of what made Dungeonborne so good. So I don't know what it's gonna be called when it officially releases. Probably not Dungeonborne 2. But yes, they are working on a new Dungeonborne game. Oh, that's another thing. The matches, I wonder if this is a placeholder or not. Because the match at the start is 56 minutes long. And it appears that this is like they just spawned. Like, it seems like this is the start of their game. I am very curious if they have 55-minute matches, because that doesn't sound right. I feel like that's probably a placeholder. I doubt they're going to be 56 minutes long. I wouldn't look too much into that timer. Because, again, this is pretty early footage. I wouldn't expect games to actually go for 56 minutes. But I don't know. At 113, there's a ledge on the box so he doesn't climb. Wait, really? Oh, wait. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe there is no climbing. Wait. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, I didn't see this before. There's a thing on the bottom. Wait, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's no climbing. Wait, actually, you're probably right. Yeah, I wonder. I don't know. I'm not sure if this is climbing or not. No, I didn't notice that box. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm assuming this is some kind of test server timer, just so they have enough time to do whatever they need to do. I will just tell you straight up that as much as I don't mind having matches that are longer, I don't think a 55 to 60-minute match is the right way to go. That seems too long. So hopefully this is not indicative of what it's going to be on release. Well, keep in mind, this is pretty early footage. I'm not sure when the game is planned to be, I don't know when it's going to be released full, but yeah, keep that in mind. All right, I want to go over, I already posted the trailer. Let's go ahead and talk about Dark and Darker's trailer next. Here, I'm going to change the category based on what we're currently doing. And I'm going to keep the title because we might end up talking about like a mixture of everything. So I'm going to swap the Dark and Darker's category while we watch the new trailer. I think that makes sense. Just give me 1 second, I'll be right back. And I'll also link this trailer. Here, why don't I do that really quick? I'll link the trailer in chat too, if you want to see it for yourself. I'll be back in a second. Oh my god, my screen's so dark. Oh, I see why. Okay. Let's see, before I watch this, let's see. What did I miss? Dungeonborne was fun, but why trust the devs again? So, you might have just joined, so I'll say it one more time. I guess it won't be one more time. I'm sure I'll have to say this, like, on infinite loop. So, the quick version is when Dungeonborne released, Tencent, the ones who funded the project, they pulled all funding from the game and left Dungeonborne devs with a skeleton crew. So it's not the developer's fault that Dungeonborne went the way that it did. The more the blame is on Tencent for basically pulling their funding. Basically, Tencent did not think Dungeonborne was worthy enough in order to, yeah, they didn't think it was worthy enough to keep up. So I'm willing to try the game. My expectations are pretty low, but if it's good, like, that's cool. I'll still play it, you know? Well, when you're given a skeleton crew, because of all the funding being taken from your project, stuff is going to take a lot longer to complete. So I think it's fair to say that the length of time that it took for patches to come through that were game breaking, you definitely have to put part of the blame from Tencent on that, right? At least I feel like you would. I mean, if you have barely any team development left to make updates, it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, imagine if Tencent did not pull that funding and they had a full-fledged developer team to work on the game. I'm sure those updates would have come a lot faster. I mean, shit, man. Look at Arc Raiders development over the last, like, 6 to 9 months, and look how terrible that game has become over time, like, with like, the non-existent slash, quite frankly, not good updates. And Arc Raiders has a team way bigger than Dungeonborne had. I mean, I feel like all things considered, I have a hard time blaming the Dungeonborne devs, considering, just considering what happened. Life on Hit was at the start of the game, wasn't it? Am I wrong? As far as I'm aware, I think Life on Hit was released with the game, but people didn't realize how broken it was until later on, and then it needed to be patched, and it took forever to get fixed. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe that's the case. Hey, Blifford, welcome, welcome. Previously on Firebox. Yeah, a lot of these streams, whenever I talk about new info, I usually have to rehash the old info as well, because, not everybody's here every time I stream. Makes sense, right? Yeah, as far as I'm aware, Life on Hit was there at the very start of Dungeonborne's, conception when it first released. But it's that people didn't realize how broken it was, and then once they did, it took forever to fix. You could counter Life on Hit with Hit on Block. I mean, not really. I mean, you could, like, I wouldn't say counter. I would say maybe you could slightly mitigate, but Life on Hit was still broken. Not every class could block. So I don't really know if I call that a counter. Also, you can't really block Cryomancer. I'm pretty sure, I don't think you could block Cryomancer's base skill, could you? I don't think you could. I think it hit you anyway. Yeah, but like Cryomancer, between their staff and everything else they had, I'm not sure if Life on Hit Cryo was even killable in the early stages. If you gave Cryo Life 1 hit and an under Fairy Ring, that shit was broken. It would not work. All right, I want to watch this dad show really quick. Let's do that. Yeah, one thing that I am potentially excited for is Cleric changes. I mean, honestly, Cleric and Wizard are my two favorite classes in Dark and Darker, or at least they're up there. So, you know, I am kind of excited to see what stuff gets added. I've already seen some cool stuff. I will say that blade looks very funny. I don't know how that's gonna work exactly, but summoning a blade and just watching it just one KO this rogue is pretty funny. But this might have been just, this is probably scripted, let's be honest. They probably had that rogue at like 1 HP and said, all right, let's let the sword one kill that guy. I'm going to assume the sword doesn't do like 100 damage. It is kind of funny though. Barrier, that'll probably be good for teams, not solos. Miracle looks like it revives multiple players at once. Again, teams, not solo. Yeah, Wizard is going to have a transmutation spell. So, have you ever played Prop Hunt? That's going to be... That might result in some really funny clips. Being a wizard and transmuting into something. It might end up in the same boat as you know, Doorlock, where it's basically never used. But it is a very funny spell. Now that teleport though. That teleport is like legitimately that's probably gonna be a really powerful spell. I think 10 spell wizard in teams is gonna be even stronger. Wizard's always been a really strong class. But I feel like Wizard is just gonna become even stronger now with all these new like spell techs. Also, can you teleport your teammates? Can I teleport my barbarian teammate into the enemy team? Because that could be really strong as well. You could teleport the barb behind the enemy line and then let the barb kill like their caster or whatever. We don't know the charge count yet. Also, sleep? How long does that last for? Because like that's another super strong spell. And Arcane Infusion too. There's like multiple here. So he puts the rogue to sleep. And then there's something called Arcane Infusion. And you can see when he hits with the staff, it causes this explosion. Dude, you know what? Bonk Wizard in solos might become really strong. Imagine Bonk Wizard in solo, because Bonk Wizard's been super limited for so long, not because it's necessarily bad, but because it has a very limited spell and skill use. There's not a lot of variety. Basically, every Bonk Wizard looks almost exactly the same. So imagine Bonk Wizard with Arcane Infusion, Sleep, Teleport, like Fireball. You know, it sounds really strong. Honestly, you could almost tech Wizard into just almost strictly melee and not worry about the range. What I'm thinking with your... Because you have a wheel of 5, right? And if you're doing Bonk Wizard in solo, you kind of need 5 spell, not 10. Because you always want Arcane Shield. Unless Arcane Infusion is another skill. I don't know how that'll work exactly. But I'm imagining you're going to use, like, Fireball, Sleep, Teleport, Explosion. I don't know what the 5th one will be yet. Oh, does it say skill? Oh, wait, you're right. I wasn't even thinking. Oh, I didn't, you know what? I actually didn't realize it changed. I wasn't looking at these words. You're right, it did change. Interesting. I wonder if Arcane Fusion is going to be better than Arcane Shield. Wait, do you know what? Do you know what one of Wizard's biggest weaknesses has always been? the fact that blue protection pots don't stack with Arcane Shield. So Arcane Shield is not quite as good as some people might think it is, because you can't blue pot and then throw up an Arcane Shield. They'll overlap each other. So you basically have to choose one or the other. So you it doesn't work quite as well as you would like it to. It's good. Don't get me wrong, Arcane Shield is good. But being able to use a blue pot and then use Arcane Infusion might be better because you double dip and are able to now use pots. That's a very big deal. Like, this might change Bonk Wizard and the way that people play this class. The freaking polymorph. My god. Oh boy. The actual meme potential is insane. Dude, Wizard is gonna be so troll. Teleport, polymorph, sleep. Oh my god. Fly. Fly as well? Oh my god. Wizard is gonna be something. Meteor Strike? Alright. Oh my god. Wall climbing rogue is finally here. We've been talking about it for months. They finally added it. Blade Dab. Oh, I can already see myself dying to this. That rogue is probably killing. It was released very unfinished, and it's been unfinished ever since. I'm glad to see that we're finally getting something. So maybe I can go to Goblin Caves and go to the second floor now, which will be nice. I will say, I have no idea how fun the gameplay is going to be in the long run, because we all know that Dark and Darker usually has a lot of balance issues every season. We saw it last season where people were freaking out over Rogue's new skills, and it was breaking the game for a while. So I can only imagine the chaos that is going to ensue. I will say, doesn't it seem like doesn't it say that we got way more stuff for Wizard than Cleric? Because the only thing that I saw from Cleric that's new, we got this Blade, and then we got the Barrier, so that's 2, and then we got Miracle, but Miracle is just a better Resurrection. So I only see 3 new things for Cleric. Oh, it's 40 new things total, but they're not showing it yet? Okay, so there's probably new Cleric stuff that isn't shown here. Okay, that makes me feel better. I was gonna say, if this is all that Cleric is getting after, 3+ years, that would be really sad. Because this would not be enough to, like, make me want to play Cleric. I would just play Wizard for sure. Wizard looks like they got way more stuff, and it looks like it's gonna be a major buff. Imagine in trios, where's it at? Where's that clip where he turns him into a pig? This polymorph spell in trios might be insane. I don't know how long it lasts for. Imagine being in a 3v3, turning one person into a sheep, and now it's a 2v3. I mean, just seriously imagine how strong this could be. We don't know how long that pig will last for, but that is pretty nuts. And also, it might be hard to chase after a wizard. Like, if you're a barb or a fighter, and you're trying to chase a wizard, and they use this fly ability, like, you're just cooked, right? Like, I mean, I guess fighter has crossbow. You know what? You know what I'm thinking of? Wizard might single-handedly delete every strictly melee class in the game because of fly, depending on how long this lasts for. How is a barbarian or a melee cleric realistically supposed to deal with a wizard that's flying around? And then the wizard also has CC and teleport. So you could say, oh, just wait for the wizard to land. But the wizard can just polymorph you or teleport away. So I'm not sure if it's that easy. So if you can't deal with wizard in the air, your class might be cooked. You might have to be a that's a good point. Barbarian hook might finally become more like meta viable. That's true. Because I didn't use barb hook at all because I always felt like it was kind of weak. That's true. Yeah, hook might become better. Oh yeah, that's true. Another thing as well. So the wall run here, the wall ride. That I don't know exactly the extent that rogues will be able to climb walls, but I could see this being very good. Like, chasing a rogue around and they just like wall climb and then run away. And I'm assuming they're gonna run double jump too. So you're gonna chase the rogue, they're gonna climb the wall, they're gonna double jump, and they're gonna be halfway across the map. So I don't know. I'm sure that'll be pretty annoying to fight as well. Maybe. Wait, grapple hook is meta right now? Is that real? I haven't played Dark and Darker in a month. So if grapple hook is now meta, I am completely unaware of this. Is that really true? You can stay at the wall. The rogue is at the wall in the beginning of the trailer. Here? Oh, you're right. He is holding here. Yeah, that's a rogue, like, chilling, right? Oh. I wonder how long the rogue is going to be able to sit on a wall for. Dude, I'm telling you, this season might be, like, the death of strictly melee. Like, at least is like for cleric. I don't think melee cleric will be able to compete with wall climb and fly. Because melee cleric is basically a class that it's kind of like a one-trick pony class. If you don't have range. I guess you have a sling, I guess. But the sling isn't really enough to, like, do that much. Yeah, the Smite DP cleric build might be dead for this season. Because wizards always countered it anyway. Like, if you just do this season, wizard versus cleric, I think the wizard is heavily favored. Because I've been on the wizard side a lot, and I always feel like clerics are, like, pretty easy. So it might be even worse for clerics this season. So it might just be all about wizard now. Sleep is a stun that lets your team one-shot anybody. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. So two things, Salazar. Two things. One, you have the polymorph spell. So you're going to be able to sheep a enemy player. That turns your fight into a 2v3, which is a pretty big deal. And then you have the sleep spell on top of it. And then maybe, like, your ranger could hit a windlass shot while they're sleeping. And the windlass shot can one-shot you in the head. So sleep might be so strong that it lets you one-shot somebody. The closest thing we have to a stun is cleric's, I don't even know what it's called. Cleric has a spell that'll stop you in place for 3/4 of a second. It barely lasts any time at all. It's really not that good. But Wizard's sleep spell is way longer. I mean, the time you can just see here. If this was Cleric, yeah, Bind. If this was Bind, the Rogue would be out now. Like, it's an instant use, or it's an instant, let up. I think it's decent in trios, but it's not really used in solos. But as far as doing the combo of sleeping someone and then getting an insta-kill on them, sleep seems to be way longer, right? I mean, we don't know exactly how long it lasts for, because he dies so quick. But it's definitely longer than 2 seconds. Is bind 0.25 and not 0.75? I thought it was 3/4 of a second, but I could be wrong. I like never use the spell. Yeah, so there's a Dungeonborne trailer that we just watched a few minutes ago. The Mistfall devs are working on a second Dungeonborne game. They basically split off of Tencent, and they're currently working on that. I don't know if it's going to be good or not, but I still figured I would talk about it and kind of go over that. But yeah, we're just talking about the Dark and Darker trailer stuff for the time being. Sleep only works on opponent's backside. Huh. That's interesting. I mean, I guess we have no way to know for sure, because he does have his back turn, so if it is back only, that could be a lot better. That will make Wizard really good for chasing. Imagine if Wizard's spell for sleep was like 3 seconds long, but you had to hit their back. It means if you turn your back on a Wizard, you're probably dead. That was a really fast cast, too. Yeah, that's kind of nuts. I don't know why it would be back only. I don't really know if I believe that's going to be the case, but sleep would function okay if it worked on super low HE, i.e. you're already tired, bro. That's a good thought. Maybe sleep only works if your opponent is like half HP or something. I doubt it's gonna work that way. I mean, just think about Iron Mace's like coding in general. I feel like most of their stuff works pretty straightforward. So to think that they're gonna have a spell that is back only and low HP, that just doesn't sound right from Iron Mace's, just general way of doing things. So I just don't think that's gonna be true. The cast times are weird in this trailer. Some stuff looks instant, but other stuff it doesn't. Where the revive looks really broken because it's too fast. Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe they just sped it up for trailer's sake. Because you're right, like some of this stuff is going really fast. But we don't see the speed of that, right? We don't see the speed of this. Yeah, you know what I think is happening? I think the trailer is just cutting to the part where they're basically about to cast, so they're not showing the casting time. I don't think everything is insta casting. I think it's just edited that way to look like it. It's very clear that there's a cut here. Yeah, like watch this here. Yeah, like you can clearly see a cut here. Right? He loads up Miracle, he casts it, and then they cut until they stand up. So I'm sure there's gonna be a delay for a spell like this. I'm sure there is. If it was instant, that would be broken. Could you imagine double reviving your 2 teammates and just doing it instantly with no downside? That would be crazy. Every cleric in the game would be running that spell. Hey Bumbly, welcome. You think the sword is cringe? You think it's cringe? It does look a little bit out of place, just seeing a magical sword just sit there and floating in the air, and then, like, one-hit kill this rogue. It does look a little bit funny. I don't know if I'd call it cringe, but it does look like a little bit maybe out of place of like normal Dark and Darker. But Dark and Darker also has Druid, which I feel like is out of place in itself because of the way it like works. So I don't know, I think it's fine. I mean, I know D&D has a Druid, but the way Dark and Darker's Druid worked was never really made sense, so it's a little late to like start caring now about stuff like that, I think. I mean, if you think the sword is out of place, I mean, do you think the transmutation wizard spell is out of place? Because I guess you could make an argument for both of them, but at this point, I just think I don't really care. Resurrection is a joke? What do you mean by that? You mean in the current game? In Dark and Darker right now? Because I think Resurrection is a pretty used spell for teams, right? Doesn't 10 spell Wizard use Resurrect? I feel like you do. Unless I'm wrong. Summoning swords is definitely a D&D thing. I wouldn't know, but I'll just take your word for it. Does the statue have anything to do with the miracle? Maybe you need to charge miracle with the statue? Oh. Wait, that's a good thought. Do you guys think that the miracle is happening because they're near the statue? No, I think that's just the aesthetic. Because the statue doesn't get used. This is probably just, they wanted it to look nice. I think that's all it comes down to. I think they just wanted like a good location to do the spell cast. I doubt you need to be at a healing shrine to use it. That seems weird. I don't think that's the case. If that was true, I would be very surprised. Resurrection might be so good that it's good in duos and trios. It will probably replace... I'm sorry, you said Resurrection. The new Miracle spell, I feel like, will probably replace Resurrection. Because it looks like you don't have to sit there and cast on somebody. You just cast it once and it just does it automatically. Which is way stronger. Because it means you can sit there and defend yourself. I'm not really sure what the point of having Resurrection is going to be. Because it looks like Miracle will just be better. Because you don't get multiple Resurrections, right? You get one Resurrection, then you have the Campfire. So I have no idea what the benefit would be of running Res over Miracle. I just have no idea. Do I think this is going to get boring based on what we have seen from the trailer? Well, I said it earlier. I'm always skeptical on new Dark and Darker seasons because I feel like usually what happens is a few select perks and skills are broken and then everybody runs only those skills and it kind of ruins the first month of a season. We saw that last season with Rogue, and then we saw it the previous season with Barb and Fighter. And then eventually everything gets nerfed to hell. And then it's like, okay, well now everything that was new and cool is a lot weaker. So I'm always kind of skeptical. So I think it's basically, I think everything's either going to be broken as shit or it's going to suck. Like the sleep duration, for example. I think that sleep spell is either going to be so OP that people cry about it until it gets nerfed because people are going to either be getting one shot or it's just going to feel too oppressive. Or the sleep is going to not last long enough and it's going to be bad. And I feel like it's going to be one or the other. It seems like we never really get a sweet spot on launch. It's always broken. Like Wizard Fly, it's either going to last too long and melee classes are not going to be able to deal with it, and it's going to just feel like Wizard is too strong in that regard, or it's going to be too slow, and the Fly is going to feel kind of underwhelming, because the Fly is so short that you just fall down, and then it's, it's whatever. I really have no idea how any of this is going to feel. I think people don't think is that most team fights your teammate doesn't always die close to each other, so Miracle might be meh. Well, is there any confirmation that you have to have your teammates in a certain radius? I know that the clip shows them nearby. So I get that the clip shows them close to each other, but there's no guarantee that they need to be close yet. We just don't really know. Miracle's a skill, not a spell. No, it's a spell. It says new cleric spell, Miracle. It is a spell. Yeah, that's not right. Did I see the other spell that's not mentioned but appears at 133 at the end? No. Which one? Probably time to nerf Bard again. Did you guys see the patch notes like a few weeks ago where they nerf Bard again? Oh my god, man. Bard is just getting obliterated. Oh, what is this? It may be a blind spell? You know, Cleric already has Holy Strike that can blind people, so maybe Cleric will have a spell that lets you blind someone for longer. That's what it looks like. Is that an artifact Bardiche also? It looks like an artifact that has some kind of wind effect on it. Bard is one of the strongest in Arena. I don't see how that's possible. Most of Bard's songs are so short that if you play Bard, you're nothing more than you're basically a buff bot. You have to spend your entire match just doing constant buffs over and over and over. I don't see how anyone could find that fun. Also, a lot of your buffs don't even work for your team. A lot of your self buffs, or well, the buffs used to be for your team, then they became self buffs. So I don't really see how Bard is like if I went to Arena and I looked at leaderboards, are you telling me that Bard is in the top 10 leaderboard? Because that surprises me. Because that really surprises me. I feel like Bard is just a worse Ranger. What is Bard doing that Ranger doesn't? Because, like, Bard has to sit there and play songs over and over again. Ranger can just do damage. And I feel like Ranger has to be more... I don't know, I just feel like Ranger would be better in Arena. I guess you can only have one Ranger. So I guess the downside is you can't have more than one class. Bard plays like a fighter, not a Ranger. Yeah, but with the recent nerf, is it really worth playing Bard at this point? So Bard, they used to have that physical damage skill, or the song that did plus 10 phys damage. So Bard lost 10% physical damage. That's massive. I mean, that's a big nerf. I don't know, like, is Bard really still good after getting a 10% damage nerf? Because if they are, that is pretty crazy. If they are, that means that Bard was broken before. Because 10% damage is a really big difference. Like, imagine if Barbarian just gained 10 strength right now. We just, like, base kit, we just gave Barb 10 strength. Like, that sounds crazy, right? That's what you're doing to Bard. Just opposite. You're removing 10 strength from them. I mean, that is a massive difference, right? Now, this is going to be interesting. This skill. Play dead. I'm imagining... I don't know, like, I'm trying to think of a spot where Rogue is going to be able to make use of this, because I pretty much always go to a body to loot them if I see them. And I'm assuming you can't loot a play dead Rogue. If you can loot a Rogue that's playing dead, and it gives you, like, a fake inventory to loot, that would be interesting. But this does seem very obvious. I don't know. It depends. I feel like I'm gonna get killed by one of these at some point. Do we know if Rogue is still going to have invisibility, or if they're doing away with that? Because they said 6 months ago that Rogue was gonna be like rid of it, but I don't know if that's ever happening or not. Yeah, Grayson, I know he's not on the team anymore, but Grayson said like it was about 6 months ago that Invis Rogue was gonna be gone, but I'm not sure if that's happening. Pause on Bard again and look at the Rogue. Pause on Bard. You know the timestamp? Because I don't know which one you're talking about. Oh, you mean at the end? I mean, the Rogue isn't doing anything special, right? Not that I can see. Just holding a dagger. You think that's a unique looking dagger? You think that's like an artifact rondelle or something? It does look a little bit different colored, so maybe. You think they've changed their mind on removing hide? That's gonna be really quite a shame if they go that route. I feel like there's no downside to removing it, to making the season. I feel like you're just making the game better by removing it. I don't really see anybody except for rogue mains being upset by it. I don't know though. I mean, I guess it's whatever. I mean, I just know that Grayson said they were going to remove it, so I'm not really sure what's going on with it. Cloak and dagger artifacts? I don't think the cloak is an artifact. Dark and Darker seems pretty against adding artifacts that are equipment, like gear based. I think it's always weapons. I mean, we have minor artifacts, but we don't have full artifacts that are gear. I'd be very surprised to ever see gear in the form of a real artifact, that is. How does the skill Play Dead work? So what I can tell, it looks like it's a skill. So it looks like you just use it preemptively, and then you just look like you're dead. What is the Dungeonborne Misfall info? So I'm gonna go over it soon. I already went over the Dungeonborne info. So Dungeonborne devs are making a new game. Same devs from Dungeonborne. This name is a placeholder, so we're just calling it Dungeonborne 2. We went over this trailer earlier. Now we're going over Dad's trailer. But I also have this to go over. Which is, not this. Sorry, not this. We also have Mistfall's info to go over as well. They released a patch note this morning with quite a bit of information, some really important stuff as well. One of them is going to be holy weapons, which is like artifacts. So, yeah, we have some important info to go over Mistfall too. I'll swap to Mistfall's streaming category when we start talking about this. Yeah. Well, that's the question, is when Rogue is playing dead, when they leave the skill, do they instantly stand up and you can start attacking? Could you can you do some kind of sneak attack? Like maybe you reactivate the skill with a player nearby and it lets you do some kind of crit damage or some kind of like big damage to somebody? I doubt it, but dead players have ragdolls. How are they going to manage it? I don't imagine to be a ragdoll. I don't think rogues play dead skill. Oh, I see what you mean. So you're thinking of play dead as a reactive skill during a fight. So you're saying that you're fighting a rogue and you hit them and they use the play dead skill? You know, that is a good question. I don't know how that's going to work. Cuz you could bait someone. If someone hits you, you could use the play dead skill and then wait for them to come towards you and then kill them. Oh my god, you could totally trip up like a wizard or something. Like let a wizard hit you with a spell, make them think you were weak, and then play dead, and then make the wizard come up to loot you. That sounds hilarious. I don't know if that's gonna work or not, but that sounds funny. Tell me I'm not gonna get my heart played with again? In what way, Rakudo? Are you talking about Mistfall? Because I think Mistfall is a really fun game. I mean, I've been enjoying the hell out of that game. Oh, yeah, that's true. In normals, there's no kill feed, so play dead won't do anything. That's true. Unless play dead somehow... No, because play dead would not give a notification in the kill feed that you're dead. That would make no sense. You wonder if Polymorph will self-cast on Whiff? That would be so funny. I doubt it. Is this enough for me to play Dad? This is enough that I will probably try the season out in a week. Is it enough that I'm going to stay on Dark and Darker after Mistfall releases? That is very unlikely. Because I do plan to, like, 100% try out Mistfall's, like, you know, open launch. But is it enough for me to at least try out the new stuff? Yeah, probably. I mean, Wizard and Cleric are my favorite classes, so if there's anything that's going to get me to play the game again, it's going to be new stuff for those classes. I know, every time I hit a rogue and they go down, I'm going to have to double tap them. Like Zombieland, make sure they're dead. With the DB devs, oh, my expectations are pretty low for the new Dungeonborne game. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy that they're working on it because the competition in the melee extractor space is very small. So with how little competition we have, I don't see any downsides to just kind of sitting back and letting the old Dungeonborne devs cook a new game. Because if it's good, like, that's great. I don't see any downside to it at all. So are my expectations high? No, not really, but you know. I saw a funny comment. Someone asked if Dungeonborne, if the new Dungeonborne game can get sued by Tencent, and I saw someone say that they're more likely to get sued by Twix, which I just thought was funny. VTwix is a placeholder name. Apparently, they're gonna change it sometime in the future. That name is really stupid. I'm not even willing to call it Dungeon VTwix because I don't like that name. Because I'll just wait till they change it in the future, whatever that may be. For a few years, it's just been playtest after playtest without any good releases. Well, I've been waiting for Mistfall for well over a year now. If you look back on my channel's, like, post history, you'll see content from over a year ago of me posting stuff from that. I mean, I think Mistfall was the first real extraction game to have a release in probably a year and a half. No, you know what? Probably since Dungeonborne first released. It's like the first game that had a real chance at succeeding. And honestly, Misfall Hunter is way better than Dungeonborne was on release. Like, Misfall Hunter is just a better game, I think. Based on like the timeline that Dungeonborne went down, Misfall clearly has better overall development, you know? And it's kind of hard to argue with that because you see Dungeonborne's development at the time, and it was really poor, right? Horrible balancing, you know, really bad decisions, right? We saw all that go on with Dungeonborne. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of easy to say that Mistfall seems to have better development overall. I feel like that's a safe thing to talk about. Sitting back is definitely what you'll be doing. You feel sus about them, but competition's always good. Well, that's what I always say on this channel, is that I always say that competition is good. There is never a downside to having competition. I think so, at least. Yeah, the PvP is what excites me the most about Mistfall. There's one thing that I'm worried that might kill Mistfall for me. And I don't say that lightly, but I'm really worried about it. So, most of you know that my channel is based on solos. That is no secret. I am extremely worried that if the developers of Mistfall do not add Branderguard to solo play, it is going to hurt the game tremendously long term for me. So it's not just the map variety that solos are being locked out of, and it's not even just the main story quest. The developers are going to make Brandergard, they're going to have the map with better loot total. So the gear is going to be better on Brandergard than the other map. I forget the other map's name. So if solos are not able to play Brandergard, solos will be locked out of the main story and endgame gear drops, which basically cuts the game's replay value in half. I think half is probably safe. I am very worried. Like, it's potentially game ruining. If, like, Misfall might actually kill the game for solos if they don't change this. And I don't know why they're so resilient on this change, because it's literally one singular queue. You just add solos for the other map, and like I don't understand why it's such like a hard thing. I don't really get it. But it might, like, it actually might like kill the game for me, because I'm a solo player. Yeah, the Misfall's answer, their Q&A answer was not good enough. Yeah, Misfall saying that they might add a seasonal solo to Brandergard, that answer was not good enough. That is like, that was one of the worst answers they could have given. That is not like at all good enough at all. Like, I'm telling you straight, if Brandergard is not released and playable for solos, my time playing the game is going to be cut short, because I'm not going to have enough content to play the game in the long run, because I'm going to be locked out of endgame content, and I'm not going to be able to complete the story, and then there's nothing I can do about it. So the devs might ultimately cook the game for all solo players that want to do any endgame content or want to complete the story, which should be everybody. So I am very, very worried about Misfall as far as that goes. I mean, I've pretty much given the feedback in every possible spot that I could. So at this point, all I can do is wait and hope that the devs wake up and realize that that needs to happen. What else can I really say? Misfall Hunter full releases on July 29th. It is a full launch. So there's no more playtests. No, it's not, dude, it's crazy. It's like every extraction game tries to ruin solo play. SDF did it over a year ago, and he almost killed his game over it. SDF was so stubborn in wanting to have solo play be removed from the game, and he told solos to just go play trios, and all the solo players left the game and the game almost died. I guess that wasn't enough for the Mistfall devs to realize that like solos is important for your game, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what more proof you could possibly need, but you know, whatever, I guess. What is SDF? SDF is the lead developer, or was the lead developer / creator of Dark and Darker. Yeah, about a year ago, he tried to remove solos from the game. Around the time that they removed solos, we had 22,000 peak players. By the time he removed solos, we went down to like 4,000 or 3,000 players. And we never truly recovered from it either. I can show you the snapshot, the Steam charts. Yeah, this isn't like me talking out of my ass. This is like real. I'll show you. So Dark and Darker so March 2025, this was around the point where solos was still in the game. Right around March, April, they started releasing the information that solos was going to be removed from the game fully. After that change happened, the game went all the way down to 3,700 peak. And then way down the road, eventually, I think it was around, when was the exact time? I don't know exactly when it was. It was somewhere around here. They re-added solo play somewhere in these months. But we've never truly recovered from it. Like, SDF took our 22,000 player peak, and he squished it, and we've never recovered. It's so like silly. Yeah, that whole solo shit was so stupid. I don't know what it is with these developers that don't seem to like respect their solo players, but this is what happens when you don't. You almost ruin your game over it. Makes no sense. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to really talk about. I don't know. It's just it is what it is. I don't. There's not much I can really say realistically. I just know that my longevity playing Misfall Hunter is going to be strictly based on whether, like, it's funny. There is almost nothing in Misfall Hunter that could possibly make me not want to play the game, except for not having solo play. That is the only thing that would change my opinion, because it means that I can't play the game because I play solo. That is like the one thing, and somehow Misfall Hunter is managing to ruin it, which is insane. So I don't know. Like, if Misfall just decides they're not going to have real solo play, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's not much I can really do about it. Like, I might just have to, like, I don't know. I guess I'll figure it out when the time comes. Is what it is. When was the update where they made free-to-play players only one character slot? Oh, I'm not exactly sure. I don't know without, like, searching through the Discord to find it. Well, let's compare. I mean, we could compare Misfall Hunter's content to Dark and Darker's content from day one. I think it's pretty similar. Because when Dark and Darker released, you only had Crypts. Crypts and Hell. So there were 2 maps. Dark and Darker had very similar content on launch, and then they added Goblin Cave, so it was 3. All the other maps came later. So, I mean, realistically, I don't think Misfall has any less content than DaD did in the early stages. So, I don't really think that's necessarily true. It depends on how frequently the wipes are, though. If they go too far past 3 months, I think the wipes might be too short. Or too long, I mean. Just because I don't know if the content's enough or not. Yeah, so we just watched the new DB trailer. I want to go over the Mistfall dev notes really quick, and then we can go back to trailers if we want to. So let me change the title, or the not title, the category. And then we can always go back to DaD or Mistfall, or DaD or Dungeonborne trailers if you want to see that stuff. But yeah, there's some important stuff in here that I want to talk about specifically. So, a few things that are important. So, Misfall Hunter is adding auction house optimization. I don't know about you fellas, but when we were playing Misfall Hunter, I felt like the auction was a little bit... it didn't feel great. So, you had that bug where you would try to buy stuff from the auction house and it wouldn't let you do it. It would say that the prices changed too much and it would just not work. You also had the issue of the gem sockets would overfill the auction slots, and it would be basically impossible to make do with your, because you had so few slots total that it felt really bad. So when they release the season, so in July 29th, they're going to have one quick buy and quick purchase. So item purchasing is going to be more stable. It's going to reduce that purchase failure. So hopefully that purchase failure problem is not existing in the new season, because that was really frustrating. Yeah, don't get me wrong, Misfall Hunter had some decent quality of life features, but this was not one of them. This was a pretty big, blatant bug. So, yeah, hopefully that will be fixed. They've also expanded the key system. So some of you might have been around when I tried the key for the first time on stream. Keys in Misfall Hunter are really bad. They were one singular room that had garbage loot and it was not worth using. So the key system entirely was just a flub. I just started selling my keys. So they're expanding the key system entirely. They're adding locked treasure chambers and treasure chests corresponding with new keys, and they're also adding new types of rarity keys. So it looks like you'll have keys that have, you know, some real value to them, and it's not just garbage, pretty much. This is another pretty big one. So I've heard some people theory crafting on this. Withered Knights might end up just being better than Mercenary based on everything that I've read so far. We'll have to wait and see when it releases, but Withered Knight is getting a pole arm and shield. So you're gonna have the great sword from the playtest, but the this pole arm and shield, it's gonna be their second weapon, so they'll be able to start doing the swapping. What's crazy is, let's see, where's it at? Imagine using Thorn Guide to yank your opponent right into the face to unleash burst damage. This is a burn mobility skill to escape. You swap to polearm and shield and land a clutch throw to pin them on the wall. So polearm and shield is going to have some kind of throwable move that can literally pin an enemy player to the wall. That might be insanely strong for chasing players. We'll have to kind of wait and see in practice. Not only do they have this pin, they also have a shield bash break as well to break guard. I don't know exactly like how good it's going to be on release, but I'm probably going to end up playing Withered Knight a lot more than I did in the playtest, because I barely touched Withered Knight because I didn't really like only Greatsword. It didn't feel great. This polearm gameplay might completely change the class. I'll have to give it a try for sure. So this is another one. People were asking specifically if artifacts were going to be added to Misfall Hunter, because right now there's not really a lot of chase items, or really I would argue there's no chase items. I mean, you have legendary gear, which is fine and great and all, but yeah, we are going to be getting holy weapons as well. So they're going to be weapon tier. Oh my god. We're going to have weapon tiers exclusive gameplay affixes. So again, similar to like legendaries in Dungeonborne or artifacts in Dark and Darker, these weapons are going to have like very unique effects that other weapons don't have. So this is going to be a really big chase factor for people. Holy weapons are going to drop from map bosses, with each boss offering their own unique holy weapon. We're keeping the exact stat bonuses a surprise for now, but here's a sneak peek of the art concept. So this is what the artifacts are going to look like. Well, they're called holy weapons, but, you know, that's the artifact equivalent, basically. Now, I will say, that I don't know what the effect is going to be, but my sword and shield merc, I feel like I'm, like, decent with it. If I can get an artifact that significantly changes the gameplay of sword and shield, that will be pretty interesting. So that's kind of where we're at as far as the artifacts go. The only thing I'm not sure of is if we're going to have armor that is holy. I don't know if we're going to ever have armor that has unique effects, or if it's only going to be weapon chasing. Because if you don't remember, back in the last playtest, but you know, months ago, we had legendary weapons, but not armor. So it looks like the devs are slowly adding new tiers of weapons. So it seems like the natural progression that Mistfall will probably add holy armor as well in the future. Also, it's only 4 weapons for now, because we don't even have a longsword here. So Withered Knight doesn't even get affected by this. But again, I'm sure all that stuff will be added in the future. So another thing they're adding, Brander Guard. So this was kind of the whole solo discussion that I just talked about a little bit ago. So Brander Guard is the map that was not unlocked for Cataclysm during the last playtest. It is going to be added for the July 29th release. The important part of this is that Cataclysm is going to have the higher tier loot, and they're going to have different types of items at landmarks. So the overall gear in Cataclysm is higher. So it's basically like what's even a good comparison of it? I mean, there really isn't a good comparison. It's just this map is just going to have better drops. So it's going to be higher risk, higher reward because it's going to have harder mobs as well. So the problem that I have right now, and it's the whole thing I talked about earlier, is the fact that solos might not be able to play this map. And I want you to imagine, as a solo player, even if you don't play solos, having a map that is the best loot in the game locked behind trios, and now those trios can farm Branderguard and then go into solo play with gear that is not obtainable as a solo. This hopefully makes sense as to why this would be a problem. So, like, one of the make or break things for Mistfall for me is going to be based on whether Branderguard is open for solos or not. And I don't know if it's going to be. It seems like the devs are like very wishy-washy on this, but I am very, very worried that this might end up killing the game for me if they lock stuff out. So, yeah. As far as like the gameplay goes, I definitely enjoy it, but yeah, this might kill the game for me, and I might not play it nearly as much if they don't actually, respect solo players. It just is what it is. Okay. So anyway, let's go on to the other stuff. And for season 1, we've designed a core concept called the Fate Chart, which will drive the entire seasonal main storyline. The critical core gameplay connecting this narrative. Soul Hunt may change. Will debut a few weeks after open beta. Is this just random, like, lore? I won't read. If it's just lore, I'm not gonna read it. This looks like lore. Maybe it's not. Alright, I'll just read it anyway. I thought it was just like a lore drop. Maybe it's not. As the anomalies deep within the mist grow ever more apparent, the Valgar have restarted their Forbidden Soul experiments. Countless creatures have been turned into rampaging cocoon puppets in a desperate bid to wield soul power. So it looks like their plans, I remember them talking about it in a previous post. Their plans are to have seasonal content drops to basically kind of keep the game fresh. So they're going to have different stuff. It looks like the first one's going to be called Soul Hunt. Do a call upon guild hunters to fight side by side, tracking down exiled souls containing the spread of soul corruption. Your actions will repair the web. So yeah, pretty much just a new seasonal event, pretty much. This gameplay runs through all narrative phases of the season and is tightly linked to progression of the Fate Chart. I don't know what that is yet. That's something new. Every guild hunter's actions will reshape the world's direction on the as shown in the chart. We're keeping the exact mechanics and gameplay loops a surprise for now, waiting for you to experience them firsthand. So I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but this is confirmation that we are going to have seasonal events throughout, the first season. So that'll be cool. Just kind of wait and see. On top of the main seasonal Soul Hunt feature, we've also got the Ancestral Tree gameplay coming to Hollow Grove, set to drop mid-season update for Season 1. Beyond the traditional high-tier resource contest points, the Ancestral Tree will spawn on the map over time. Head there for treasure or play it safe. So it looks like there's going to be 2 different seasonal events. It's saying seasons are not just wipes, that they're content updates, like stuffs and like quests and stuff like PoE. That's what I figured, Lich, yeah. That's what it seems like. So it looks like we're gonna have Soul Hunt a few weeks after launch, and then we're gonna have Ancestral Tree, which is gonna be more mid-season as an update. So we have 2 different seasonal events. So it looks like they're already kind of setting the precedent that every season is gonna have unique events, not wipes, to kind of keep the game, like new stuff to do. Pretty much. Honestly, that's something that I wish Dark and Darker did. I really would like if Dark and Darker did any kind of seasonal mid stuff on the map itself. I feel like the maps are just so bland in DaD, where it's always the same exact thing and nothing ever changes. Like the maps will, like, they'll randomize, but you got like the gold pile, you have the boss, and that's basically it. There's not really a lot of, I don't know, it feels like hotspots are kind of missing. So it would be nice if we had seasonal events in DaD as well. That would give you stuff to do mid-season. All right, so class balance, what issues have we spotted? Yeah, so class balance is always like a big hot topic, generally. Class balance is a tale as old as time, and making sure we get it right has been our goal across every playtest. After the next fest ended, we held several balance review meetings. Here's a quick rundown of our tuning events for some classes. Okay, so there is some, I think, some decently important class balance changes here. Particularly Withered Knight looks like it's going to be really strong. So Withered Knight was most popular class during Next Fest. Looking at overall data, Withered Knight's killing power was good. However, due to sluggish nature of heavy weapons and the fact that polearm did not exist yet, some players felt the class lacked sufficient strength and depth. The Withered Knight's other weapon, polearm and shield, will launch with Season 1 and will further... We've also optimized Greatsword's weapons and talents. Greatsword adjustments, so the parry is now going to be earlier level, and it's the parry counter window is going to be extended. So they're buffing, well, it's like early game buffing for Withered Knight to have parry early, because I think parry is one of Withered Knight's better skills, as I feel like it is. But they're extending the parry window, which is going to make it, which should make it a lot stronger, I would assume. Thorn Guide has been tweaked to resolve collision issues, such as, I guess, just hitbox fixes, pretty much. But if the hitbox was bugged in the beta, and now it's fixed, then it should just feel better. The second stage branch attack from Breakthrough Charge no longer has a massive knockback effect, preventing you from losing ground on fighting range enemies. So doing Breakthrough, I didn't play a lot of Withered Knight, but it looks like Withered Knight is going to be very good at chasing other players, which might just make Withered Knight better than Mercenary, because Mercenary's chase really is not very good. So if Withered Knight just has better chase potential, it might just make more sense to play this class. The core talent Legacy now grants increased health recovery when knocking down rival guild hunters. Light and heavy strikes have had their hitboxes increased so that the damage area better matches the visual effect. Additionally, because polearm will benefit from cooldown reduction provided by Endless Flow, we've reduced talent percentages, whatever. Basically, it seems like the developers are convinced that the addition of polearm and shield should be enough to heavily influence Withered Knight total, or just, in general. So the polearm and shield is going to add 6 new skills for players to choose from, along with unique ability to rescue down teammates from a distance. I don't know how that's going to feel in teams, but that sounds pretty good. It's kind of hard to imagine that not being good. I mean, just picking up a teammate like that sounds insane. With a variety of talents and skill options, this will bring a big boost to Knight's overall skill and strategic depth. So yeah, basically TLDR, Knight is receiving a lot of changes / new content, so Knight should feel better for launch, pretty much. News on Dungeonborne? Here, I'll tell you what, I'll link you the video that I watched earlier on stream. No, you actually missed Dungeonborne and Dark and Darker. However, I'm more than happy to go back and rewatch the trailers if people are still here and didn't see them. But I do want to finish Misfall Hunter's info first. Alright, let's see. Regarding the other classes, Shadow Strix, as an example, some of its skills still offer too much mobility and overwhelming crowd control change, making it overperform in combat. Moving forward, Crow's Storm will no longer stack on players who are already stunned. I would say that's a good thing. And its damage will be slightly reduced. This will tone down excessive outplay potential that come from low-cost chain CC. So yeah, I think Crow Storm from Shadow Strix was too strong. I'm kind of glad to see some update there. For the Seer Mace, the duration of the mobility skill Shapeshift will be reduced, and its speed boost tuned down. So melee Seer probably will have to choose their fights better, because in the last beta, Shapeshift was long enough and fast enough that you could pretty much chase or get away from anyone you wanted except for Rogue. Rogue was still like pretty competent at keeping up with you. So it looks like that is being changed. This addresses the overpowered escape capability tied to specific skills. while still preserving tactical value for short distance chasing kite. So ultimately, I'm curious how long it's gonna last and how fast it's gonna send you. Like this, I mean, it's one of those things where I can't really rate how good it's gonna be until I see it myself, you know? You're mainly here for Mistfall as well. Yeah, I mean, really, I'm here for all the games. I'm here for Dungeonborne, Dark and Darker, and Mistfall. So yeah, as soon as I finish the Mistfall notes, we can rewatch the Dungeonborne stuff for anyone that missed it. I'm perfectly fine with that. All right, we're still tweaking. Actually, Lich, since you're here and you basically mains here, what do you think of this change? In your unbiased opinion, as as hard as that might be, as someone who mains melees here, what do you think of this update here? It can't be easy to balance for solo and trio since Iron Mace can't do it. Well, Iron Mace never really gave a good effort to do it. They just tried to remove solos from the game, and then when it didn't work, they just kind of threw their hands up in the air and just said whatever, and just left it. Iron Mace never tried giving skills different effects based on solo or trio play. So you can't really say that it's hard to balance because Dark and Darker can't do it, because Iron Mace gives no effort to do it in the first place. So it's not really a fair comparison. You know what I mean? Like, at least Misfall is adding different cooldown rates based on solo or trio, which is more than Dark and Darker has ever tried to do. So the odds of Misfall being more balanced for trio versus solo, I think, is higher than DaD, but that's only because DaD does not balance the game based on the skills themselves. You think the change is fine, but you only used it to run from Black Arrow. If you can still run from them, it's fine. It's weird how they stated it's used for gap closing when really it shouldn't be used that way. There has to be some use for gap closing, right, Lich? Like, let's say you're fighting a rogue, and you get the rogue one shot, or you get him low, and then he starts running. I mean, at that point, I assume you would use shapeshift to chase the rogue down. So at that point, you know, it is a gap closer. Even though I would agree with you that the skill is probably best used for defense and running. But I imagine that there's certain spots where they're low enough where you probably want to use it for gap close. You can use it for gap close, but if you use it versus a competent Black Arrow or Sorcerer, that's a good way to die. I would assume you would only use it as a gap close against those classes if they're already low. Unless you think that Seer is not going to be strong enough, even if they're not low. I will tell you, I've said it before, my biggest problem with Seer, specifically, is that it feels like the class is completely dependent on super armor. I would rather them rebalance the super armor and buff the other parts of Seer, or change talents around, so Seer does not have to take super armor to play the game. Because it does feel kind of silly that Seer as a class, melee Seer is literally not playable unless you use super armor. And there's two trees. There's a second talent tree that doesn't have super armor, and you would never use it because without it, the class is garbage. It's terrible. Like, super armor is needed for Seer to be good for Blasphemir. So I feel like the dependency is probably a problem and should be changed. I played basically every class. I played every class except for Black Arrow. So I have like a decent bit of knowledge across a bunch of classes. All right, we're still tweaking remaining classes, and a more detailed breakdown will be covered in Developer Update 7 at the end of the month. That's all for Season preview now. Yeah. So that's all of Mistfall's info. I think we'll leave it at that. Basically, holy weapons / artifacts are coming. They're adding new uses for keys. They're updating balance for Wither Knight. Seer is being... It is funny. I will say there is one thing that's funny here. The fact that Mace Seer was their priority talk. They chose to give the nerf for melee Seer and not give any nerf for Black Arrow. Like they made that decision, which is a little bit weird. Because don't get me wrong, I think melee Seer was annoying to fight, but I do think Black Arrow was stronger, like undeniably. So I am a little bit surprised that they felt like they wanted to tell us about the Seer changes, but didn't tell us about anything from Black Arrow. That is like a little bit strange, but whatever, I guess. All right. So while you're here, yeah. So we can just, since people are asking anyway, I can re-show the Dungeonborne trailer. Because now that we've talked about everything from Mistfall, we're pretty much good there. Oh yeah, Lich, you know, I was gonna join you. I don't know if you know this. I played Turtle WoW, and I also played Nostrum WoW. And both of the servers got taken down, and I just couldn't bring myself to be bothered to play another server. To be honest, I just couldn't be bothered. I don't know. I just felt wowed out. I just didn't feel like it. You miss Mistfall streams from everyone? I miss playing Mistfall for you, to be honest. Yeah, I very much miss playing Mistfall on stream for you guys. I very much do miss it. Yeah, I have been playing, like, I am so down bad on games. I've been playing Stardew Valley, which I played like a few hours of it. And I actually do like Stardew, but it's like pretty casual, so it's not really what I usually play. I just was bored. And I've been playing the revival project for The Calling, which I posted that video on earlier this morning, which has been fun. But like I am so down bad on games because like I'll probably play Dark and Darker's new season, but until the new season drops, like I don't want to play Dad. And Mistfall doesn't come out till later this month. So like right now there is like nothing to play. At least for me, which does suck. No. Okay, so if you I can't talk. If you played The Calling back in the day, the one that Xavier made, there is a project that is being made to revive The Calling. It might not be active development, but there's live servers you can play with other players. That honestly, The Calling was one of my favorite games. I actually thought about streaming it, but I didn't know if anyone would want to watch it or not. But yeah, I've been playing The Calling off stream, which has been very fun to me because I love melee combat, obviously. Actually, Mr. X played with me when we were playing. He was in our Discord call. I know Mr. X would watch. Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to, but if I was gonna do a stream for it, I'd have to coordinate with the dev, probably, to make sure, like, I'm good to, like, play and all that. Stream it, bro, save you? Yeah, maybe, man, maybe. Alright, let's rewatch, people have been asking, let's rewatch this Dungeonborne trailer. As requested. By the way, Lich, what do you think about this whole Dungeonborne relaunch stuff going on? Just curious. Oh, just what I was saying, the audio is a placeholder. So some of the sounds like might sound a little bit funny. That's because they're not ready yet. So this is like early like alpha footage. So if it sounds funny, that's why. It's not like my computer or anything. It's just how it is. Yeah, it's the same exact developers as Dungeonborne. Yep, same devs. You have nothing to say except people are suckers? That's crazy. Hey, you know what? I'm willing to give them a chance. I'll give them a try. I mean, I'm clearly more excited for Misfall Hunter, but you know what? I'll see if they can cook up something, I guess. You never know. I mean, we have no other competition. What other games are trying to make melee extraction work? I mean, really, what other game do we have? What other extraction game do we have to play? Truthfully, I feel like we don't have anything, right? Like, it's not like it's dry out here, guys. It's dry. We have Dark and Darker, which basically doesn't release for a week because the current season is boring. So I guess maybe that'll be fun in a week's time. We have Mistfall, but it's not out yet until July 29th. We have Hunger, but Hunger is like it's kind of slow and it's pretty gun focused. So it's kind of a different vibe of these games. But like I mean really, like what games do we have? Not a whole lot. So if Mithril Studios wants to try to go indie and wants to try to make a game not under Tencent, by all means, like, go for it. Like, I'm not, like, opposed to it or anything. You hear Legacy's doing very well? Yeah, Legacy's thriving. That's true. We have Naquan. But Naquan's PvP was pretty bad. It was only good for PvE. So it depends on, like, it depends on what they do between last playtest and when we get to play it again. They've been pretty much... I feel like they've been pretty silent since last playtest as far as getting to play the game again, so kind of holding my breath on that. Yeah, again, a lot of the sounds are like very clearly placeholder sounds. If the game sounded like this on launch, I would just laugh at the game because it would be ridiculous. Yeah, that would be a terrible sound. Imagine that. Yeah, that would be really silly. Is Legacy still in Sorcery? It's like an extraction game that closed down like a few months ago. Dracantos game that looks kind of like League. I have no idea what that is. I don't think I've heard of that. Yeah, this game could best be described as Dungeonborne 2. It has a lot of very clear similarities in combat, aesthetic, and like just the way the game works. They do not have the license to re-release Dungeonborne, so they're making a basically Dungeonborne 2, pretty much, or a successor if you want to call it that. What do you mean, how am I watching this video still? I haven't watched this video in 2 hours. We've been talking about Mistfall and Dark and Darker for the last hour and 45 minutes. Someone asked to watch it again, so I figured I'd throw it back one. This was a viewer request. Yeah, that's all the gameplay we have for now. I mean, I'll be real with you. My expectations are pretty low. I mean, I'm not expecting, like, if nothing ever comes from this project, I would not be surprised or disappointed because I don't expect much from it. I mean, a game coming back from the grave like this is it's very hard to imagine. Like, they're gonna be basically, it's gonna be like an uphill battle from start to finish to find like a player base as well, right? Because, you know, realistically, Dungeonborne has such like a soured taste or soured name because of everything that happened. Trying to get a player base, like, their game would have to be really good. That's really all it comes down to. This would have to be one of the best games of all time, like, extraction-wise, to really pop off. Don't get me wrong, there will probably be a dedicated following that will play this game no matter what. But as far as gaining popularity, like Dungeonborne had back in the day, it's very, very hard to imagine that happening unless the game is just flawless, you know? If you buy, how much of a cut? Unfortunately, I'm not getting paid by the devs for this. But if you want to pay me directly, I'll give you my Cash App or my PayPal. Just let me know. You want to see the staff gameplay? Sure. Yeah, but yeah, if you wanna send me some money, just let me know. I'll give you a link. Yeah, feel free. Wait, no, don't you know? Legacy might come back. Surely you have to be aware of this. You do know that Legacy auctioned off their game, right? And whoever bought their game is probably not going to do nothing with it. So, you do realize that there's actually a chance that Legacy comes back. Rakan bought it? I don't believe that. Because there's no way they sold it to anyone that it probably got sold to like a game dev company, right? Unless Rakan does game dev. I doubt Rakan bought it. Funny joke though. I don't really know, man. Wait, is the culling back? Yes, Blue. The culling is back. I posted a video on it this morning. If you want access to it, the video has a Discord link. They do right now. It's like in beta testing right now, but I played a few games earlier and it worked pretty well. Yeah, like culling will never have active game development again, but they do have private servers that are finally available. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know, Lich. Let's talk realistically here. How many melee extraction games do we have that are successful? Genuinely successful. It's just one, right? It's literally just Dark and Darker. I mean, am I wrong on this? As far as I'm aware, the only successful melee extraction we have at this point is just that. And then Mistfall hopefully will you know, be successful when it releases. I mean, honestly, and it's not like Dark and Darker is thriving right now. Like, you know, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting pretty sick and tired of having the melee extractor genre be limited by one singular game. I don't care if Dark and Darker is good or bad. I just want to have an option to play different games. So the fact that Dark and Darker has remained the sole competitor, the sole game that even exists for so long has been really obnoxious. Like, I've been waiting for over a year. Really, I've been waiting since Dungeonborne died for a new game to basically take its place. Not like Dungeonborne replacement, but just a new melee extractor game. That's what I've been waiting for, you know? I feel like I've been waiting so damn long for this. It's just getting annoying. The sound of the gear dropping. Oh, that's the nostalgia hit right there. Yeah, that's the nostalgia hit right there. But the devs made sure to add that feature back in there for sure. What is it about this genre that chases gamers away from playing the games? You'll never understand why dungeon trackers do so poorly. You know, I think there's a multitude of reasons for it. I think part of it is that they're not casual friendly, and game developers have a hard time keeping casuals slash new players playing their game. And I don't think they're, how do I say it? I don't think it's impossible for a game to do well if it's not casual friendly. But unfortunately, gaming nowadays seems to be very dumbed down. And it feels like if your game is not like basically holding your hand, a lot of gamers will just instantly stop playing it. And I'm sure you can probably acknowledge how true that is. So you have the problem of these games being like very, very competitive in nature. So a lot of players just quit before they even have a chance to learn. I think that's a big part of it. The other part of it is that a lot of these games are just nosediving off cliffs with bad updates. It's a mixture of both. Or they release and they're slop, like The Cube or Dungeon Stalkers or whatever. There's always like there's a lot of different reasons for why these games are failing, and I feel like it's always something slightly different. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. So the real question, hold up, save. Yeah, so the real question is, will Mistfall be able to break the cycle? Is Mistfall going to have good updates? Is it going to be new player friendly enough? They already did the stamina changes to make the game more new player friendly, so they're already trying to do that. Are they going to have, well, I mean, that's really it. Are they going to have good updates, and are they going to have, is it going to be like accessible pretty much? I mean, I don't really know what else it comes down to really, besides just game content and having like a fun gameplay loop. I think Misfall Hunter's gameplay is phenomenal. As far as like when it's working. Obviously the server issues are not phenomenal, but the gameplay is very fun. So I think Misfall has a very, very solid chance of being successful in the long run. I really feel like it does. Saying that a game looks like a mobile game, I feel like is so overused. I've seen people call I feel like I've seen people call every game I play a mobile game. I've seen people call Misfall Hunter a mobile game, which I think which I've literally never understood. I feel like people literally just throw that out there and just expect it to stick. You're obsessed with this game? Which one? Misfall? Or a different one? Yeah, my major concern for Misfall really does just come down to the fact that solos might be locked out of part of the game, and it's a big part of the game too, which will hinder my ability to actually play and stream it. So that's really it's really what it comes down to. I don't know how it's going to be in the long run, but that's like one of my biggest concerns for me personally. Misfall is aesthetically beautiful. Well, it doesn't matter what you think, because people will just say shit anyway, and I 100% have viewers tell me that Misfall looked like a mobile game. So I mean, I'm just saying. People just say shit no matter what. Doesn't really matter. How could anyone think Misfall is a mobile game? Because people are stupid and don't know how to be a free thinker, and they just throw out, I don't know, man. But call it whatever you want. I don't really know what to call it, but I mean, it's really just silly, honestly. Yeah, people really do throw out the whole mobile game shit like crazy. Well, ultimately, I know that a lot of my viewer base is solo. Maybe not everybody, but I know that a lot of people that do watch me are solo, which makes sense because all my guides are solo based. So it does worry me a little bit that like we're gonna have a lot of complaints about the maps being locked when the game releases if they don't change their mind on that. That again, that really is my biggest worry about Mistfall's release. Not much I can really do about it, but I am kind of worried about it. I mean, people call Dungeonborne a mobile game too. I never really felt like Dungeonborne looked like a mobile game either. I feel like I really do feel like people just like say shit and just throw it out there. Is this screen real? Well, yeah, it's a trailer video. Yeah, it's real. Yeah, this is gameplay from the new PB game that's in development. Yeah, very work in progress for sure. Very clearly this is like early alpha footage. If I had to take a guess, this probably won't be in our hands to play for minimum 3 to 6 months, at least for a playtest. And as far as release goes, this is probably a year or two out, at least. I cannot imagine that this is anywhere near ready to like release. If it released in this state, the game would just be dead. Very clearly, it's not ready. So, link the video. Yeah, I can link it. Here. Well, I mean, I feel like I've learned at this point that people complain about everything, no matter what you do. So, it's kind of whatever, really. Oh, by the way, did you guys see I finally added emotes to my channel? Yeah, YouTube is more limited, but I did add emotes. Yeah, I had a viewer, Smoothitis, who added a bunch to my Discord over time, so I imported those over. So, no longer are we a zero emote channel, which was the case for a few years. If this was a playable demo, I mean, I would play it just to show it off. Although I wouldn't, I wouldn't be expecting much from this. I really would not expect much at all. Kind of hard to. You're expecting a playtest in February? Okay, so you're talking like a while. Yeah, maybe. I will say, aesthetic-wise, I feel like the map looks good. Like, I like the way this looks. I definitely don't think this looks mobile game-esque. I don't know how the gameplay would feel, but I think the map looks nice. I like it has like an open feel to it, which kind of reminds me of the castle a little bit, even though it's not outside. I don't know. I kind of like it. It doesn't have like a damped, like, dungeon feel to it, which I know is not necessarily bad, but I mean, Misfall Hunter has a very like open feel as well, and I feel like it works pretty well there too. Looks empty. Well, I mean, it's super early on, so I wouldn't really look too much into that. I mean, I'm not expecting a playtest for this game for at least 6 months. So, I mean, all the gameplay you're seeing is so early that it really doesn't matter. Galeplate Haven? I don't even think that weapon will be back, man. They're not adding the Galeplate back in this game. That's not happening. I mean, it's not bad. Like, I think this trailer, you know, this is better than releasing what they released last time, which was a 45-second AI intro and then a little bit of gameplay that was like almost, it was like almost shorter than the other part of the video. I would rather just see straight gameplay than what the last trailer was. I think a lot of people would rather see this, because ultimately the gameplay is what matters, not whatever. But yeah, I think it looks like decent. It's not great, but it's like okay. The audio, we'll have to see what the audio sounds like when they fix it in the long run, but whatever, the placeholders are gone, but you found the 17th key as a game asset? Okay, so that confuses me, because my understanding is that the Dungeonborne developers, or the, you know, like the current developers now, had to be careful what they added so they didn't get sued from Tencent. But that also might just be people just kind of spitballing and just saying things. There might be no merit to that as well. I know what the 17 key is. I am aware of that. But what I'm saying is that I'm surprised they can even use the 17th key, because I would think that would be copyrighted from Dungeonborne, because it's if it's copied, right? Well, again, the noises are just default. They're audio placeholders. They're not what is going to be in the final game. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Well, yeah, I mean, this at least shows that the developers are working on an actual tangible product and not just, it's not just like AI animation video clips. Which part of the Discord are you asking me to look at? You know, there was a conversation on the dice mechanic. I kind of feel like the dice mechanic didn't work, and I think it's just time to scrap it completely. Dark and Darker doesn't have it. Mistfall doesn't have it. Dungeonborne had it, and quite frankly, in the beginning, it was like way too strong. I don't know. I think the mechanic honestly should just be retired at this point. I don't think we need the dice anymore. I don't know. I feel like it was like they tried, it just didn't work out. Just move on. You sure they learned from Dark and Darker with borrowing a little bit of this and that from previous employers without consent? Well, that's what I'm wondering, yeah, is there any possibility that Tencent comes and like shuts down this project basically? Well, that was the dumbest shit in the world. The legendaries being locked behind a timer. That was like one of the worst things about Dungeonborne. For sure. I don't think any game should ever have time locked legendary stuff for the whole server. Cove, it won't let you share a link, it'll block it. You'd have to send it to a mod. Dungeonborne items gave you a bigger advantage. I don't know if you understand how big of an advantage artifacts give you in Dark and Darker. Because that means you probably have never fought a demon form Kuma's Claw Warlock. Because that shit felt invincible. They like 1 to 2 shot every class in the game. Like at the end of last season. Yeah, artifacts make a really big difference. Yeah, I'm not really sure if I completely agree that Dungeonborne needed a dice mechanic, because they were... Like, I don't think Dungeonborne ever needed a dice mechanic to begin with, honestly. Well, the reason people don't bring the items in Dark and Darker, it usually has to do with the rarity factor. If the items are too rare, nobody uses them. And if the items are not rare enough... Or wait, no. If the items are... Yeah, if they're not rare enough, then everybody is using them all the time. You have to find the balance, and that's the hard part. I mean, not every artifact in Dark and Darker makes enough of a difference that it would be comparable to Dungeonborne. Similarly, there's a few artifacts in Dungeonborne that were like really game breaking, like pre-nerf fairy, for example, that you basically like couldn't really even try to fight. So the dice mechanic when Dungeonborne first released, it let you would activate the dice, it would go over a random item, and if it hit the item that you wanted, you would stop, and then if you died, you would not lose that item. So let's say I had a legendary ring, I could keep socketing, or it's not socketing, I could keep rolling the random dice until it hits my ring slot, and then use the ring in the spot that is dice locked. So even if I die, I would never lose that legendary, and that created like a pretty overpowered scenario where people that had legendary items could never lose them, and if they were some of them were really broken too. So it created a very toxic gameplay loop of basically rich players infinitely playing the game with overpowered legendaries with no counterplay to them because you could actually never get them yourself. It was pretty crazy, honestly. I mean, the dice system they added later on wasn't bad, because at least you got a lot of money from it, but I don't know. I feel like at this point, it's better to just get rid of the system entirely. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I would consider the dice system just a tried and failed kind of deal. I don't know. I feel like at this point, it's just done. Yeah, like, you had blue pyros, like, running, like, yeah, like a legendary staff, for example. I don't know. I don't remember what the legendary staff did, though. But just generally speaking, yeah, having to fight dice legendaries got pretty old. Well, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. There's really not much else for me to say other than the fact that the loop was very toxic, and I do not think that Dungeonborne should ever re-release, or I don't think any extraction game should ever try to re-release the same system that Dungeonborne had with dice. I think it's just bad. I just don't think it's good for the game, generally speaking. Just my own 2 cents. All right, so I think I talked about everything. I didn't plan for this to be like a 4-hour stream, by the way. I just wanted to do a short stream and kind of go over all of the important information. I think I've talked about everything. We went over the Dungeonborne trailer, Dark and Darker's trailer, which honestly looks pretty good. I will say, of all the things as far as Dark and Darker goes, this trailer is very well made. I don't know how the gameplay is going to be when it releases, but at the very least, I'll give the person who made the trailer credit where credit is due. It looks good. So, like, I'll probably play this season because Wizard and Cleric are my favorite classes. So, if there's ever a time to play DaD, it's right now. And Mistfall's not out yet, so why not? So, in 6 days, I'll probably end up giving this a go, and we'll see how it feels. Yeah, the only things I'm kind of like the only things that I am kind of I don't want to say worried about, but the only things that I'm wondering as far as game balance goes for Dark and Darker is the sleep. This here, this sleep worries me a little bit. It seems very long. Like that looks like enough time to potentially one-shot somebody with no counterplay on their end. So that makes me a little bit worried. The polymorph might be kind of annoying too. that polymorph there. Oh my god. I see that you can still move during it, but I assume you can't do anything during it. So it basically is going to cause you to get hit for free or whatever it's going to be. Or it'll take you out of a team fight, which is pretty strong. So I feel like that's going to be pretty insane. The fly as well. Against melee classes, like Wizard flies up. I don't know what the hell you're going to do against Wizard. I guess if you're a range class, the Wizard will just kind of be a free hit because they're sitting here like a sitting duck in the air. But as a melee class, I don't know what you're going to do against this. So there's definitely some overpowered things that could potentially creep up for sure once this game or once the new season releases. Oh, I haven't heard of I haven't heard the Mojito Beans name in a long time. He doesn't still. I don't think he still streams. I think he's been long gone. Yeah, I'm wondering that too. Usually there's always, well, it's not just fly. Rogue's gonna be able to wall climb, which could create certain areas that are physically not possible to catch people. So if you're a strictly melee class, that might really screw you. I think this is gonna be the worst season for Smite DB Cleric that has ever existed. Like that might be a bold claim, but with everybody probably trying out Wizard, and I think Wizard, generally speaking, is good against Cleric, I think this is going to be a really bad season to play that build. So I probably will not play it when I play Cleric. I'll play like some of the newer stuff. Oh, you were throwing shade at Entry as a joke? Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I think I feel like I do vaguely remember certain streamers in Dungeonborne were abusing like low gear like greens with legendary Gale flights, and I feel like that is true. I do vaguely remember that. Wait, does Mojito really join your and Lich's stream and shit talk you? There's no way he does that. You have to be joking, because that would be sad. He is a grown man. Surely he's not doing that, because that would be crazy. There's no way he was doing that, right? That would be actually silly. I refuse to believe that a grown man would do that. I'll be right back. Last you heard, Mojito was in Midnight Walkers chat. Well, Midnight Walkers is... Do I even have to talk about Midnight Walkers? That game was a joke, man. That game is just... there were playtests before the game released where I really did enjoy Midnight Walkers, but they just made the game worse after it seemed like every update. And then I don't know, it just wasn't that good on release, man. Midnight Walkers really dropped the ball. I am fully expecting a end of service date for Midnight Walkers. I don't think that game is going anywhere anymore. Yeah, so the Dungeonborne developers there's a new project they're working on to bring back Dungeonborne, basically Dungeonborne 2. So we went over that earlier in the stream. I know. Lich still claims he never streamed Snipe Mojito, but who knows what he really did. How could I forget that whole controversy? How could I forget? Oh my god. Yeah, I remember. I remember. Dungeon Stalkers was a joke too. I mean, yeah, it was, but at least they had like hot women in it. I mean, at least at least they knew it. At least they knew what their audience was. I guess. What can you say? At least they had something there. We're all good, I guess. I can give you the link. This is the channel, or that's the link to the Dungeonborne video that I watched. Yeah, we've already watched the Dungeonborne video twice, so I'm not gonna watch it again on stream. Remember that I killed that whale for his legendary in Dungeonborne? Oh. Yeah, that guy was quitting the game, though. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, he had, like, a ton of stuff on him, yeah. Here, I feel like is gonna be too slow. But maybe there's a use for it I'm not thinking of. It depends on it depends on how much damage it does. If it does a lot of damage, it might be worth it. Yeah, this whole thing with Rogue's wall climbing as well might be broken. Monarch was a cool boss fight. Which one was Monarch? I don't know if I remember the name of that. I don't know. I feel like Midnight Walk. Maybe I'm just dreaming because I just wanted I just want the melee extraction genre to grow so much that I'm kind of just dreaming of games that are not good to be good. But I truly did believe that Midnight Walkers during like an old playtest was fun. But after the last playtest they did and then release were both worse than the previous playtest. So I don't know. I really feel like Midnight Walkers regressed and got worse over time. Because I really thought the game was fun at first, but I don't know. Maybe that was just me like wanting to play something different. Hard to say. Well, yeah, Rogue has everything now. Double jump, wall climb, invis, play dead. They have everything now. They're ready. The red portal, the Lich came downstairs and you fought him on the platform. Well, I remember the Lich. But you said Monarch. Is that what he was called? Because I think I just called him like Lich or something. Because it looked like a Lich King fight. I don't remember the names of the bosses. What happened to the YouTuber that wanted to recreate his own version of Dad? There were actually 2 YouTubers that wanted to make their own version of Dad. Wasn't there? One was Ryan, and the other one, remember Project, no, not Project, or Project Vision? Does that sound familiar to anybody? Yeah, what happened to Project Vision? Is this still going? Yeah, does anybody remember this project? Anybody remember Kazaren was working on this? Yeah, I mean, he hasn't posted anything in 6 months. I wonder if this is even still going on. Is this project still ongoing? Does anybody know?
Hello, everyone. So,
I wonder if this project's even going still. Just curious. I mean, we could watch this. I've really
hello, everyone. So,
yeah. So if anyone's not aware, there haven't been a lot. Like, this is how few melee extraction competitors are truly in like the game state. There's so few. It's like, I feel like it's pretty known when another game is being made. Like, for example, if you looked at like the shooter battle royale genre way back when, basically there were so many games that it was basically not going to happen to keep up with all of them. But there's not that many melee extractor games, so I was keeping up with this one for a while, but I don't know if this is even still going on. Last I heard, I think this might be like a lost project.
it hasn't been that long since our last upload, and just wanted to fill you guys in on what's happened. So we got our Steamworks page up and running, and we're
Oh, they have a Steam page? Hold up. I don't have the adult filter off. And I know how Steam likes to just throw random games up, so I'm just gonna make sure it doesn't throw anything weird on the screen. Hold up. Let me make sure. I don't see it on the page anymore.
packaging and testing.
Wait, they might have taken it off. Because there's no Project Vision on the store. It doesn't exist. Oh. Yeah, maybe this is a discontinued project. It might not exist anymore.
Out
Because this isn't here. Unless
our
it's
game
hidden.
right now, essentially. Yeah, that's what's happening. A lot of work is being done on getting the combat functioning, getting the backend system up and running, and just, yeah.
That the combo window for your attacks locally will be over already. So you maybe do
it
like
was
1
like
or 2 attacks,
super
maybe, and then,
early
like, the
alpha.
combo
Like, you can
becomes-
tell, like, just from the way
think
stuff's
that's
moving.
Yo,
sounds better than, you know, in my
Yeah,
favor,
the
that-
movement's so
that,
scuffed.
on yours,
Yeah, I think,
Oh no, your
again,
arm is
I
going-
don't know if this guy's still working on this game or not. Because I know this was like this was 6 months ago. And this game was like years from ever being finished. So this is so early on, it's crazy. Like, you can't even really judge this gameplay very much because of how early on it is. But yeah, this was supposed to be a melee extractor game, but
That's
I don't
fucked
think
up.
anything ever came of it.
Oi.
Wait, we have the
I mean, I assume, like, if you look at the UI, I assume that this is like your left and or your right and left skill, like your Q and E, stuff like that.
damage.
I'm
Limp
winning
damage.
this. No, he's
Yeah, his arm
cutting
is
my head
dead.
up. No.
Yeah, I believe I,
don't think there's any
remember.
respawn, by the way.
I think I remember hearing or seeing some kind of post that there was some kind of, I don't know if it was a developer dispute or whatever, but I think the developers left this game. Like, I think this game is actually like never gonna see the light of day. I don't think you'll ever see another update on this channel for this game title at all. So I guess this is just going to be one of those, you know, just another never to finish project, pretty much. So, you know, it is what it is, I guess. It is what it is. Yeah, Ryan 6 days a week. Isn't he still making one too? Because Ryan 6 days a week, as far as I'm aware, is like, he's actually still chugging along, I think. He's making one that looked decent, although I don't know. Not sure if it's still going on or not. Yeah, so he posted a video. $4 months ago?
Yo, what's
Okay.
going on, gamers? It's Ryan, 6 days a week, and welcome to episode 4 of the Underkeep.
What is happening? Hold up. It's broken. Wait.
Yo, what's going on, gamers? It's Ryan, 6 days a week.
Yeah, I think Project Vision is a completely dead game. Ryan 6 days a week's project, I think, still has a chance to be seen, but I think this is also still years away from ever being released.
Welcome to episode...
I remember he was actually in my stream a few months ago, and I think he even said the same thing, that it wasn't even close to being released for public yet.
4 of the Underkeep devlog. Technically, this is supposed to be episode 5, but I did miss the January upload because I took about a week and a half off around the Christmas holidays to go visit the parents, check out some old ancient relics from my childhood, and just unplug for a little bit. But I'm back now, cranking 80-hour weeks, and let's see what I've gotten done. We'll start with some updates to the training area, or the testing zone as I like to call it. Just a little warning here, a lot of the work that I have been doing has been focused on the back-end systems, so it's not going to be as visual as some of the other videos, but I think it's still interesting.
I mean, I know it's not like much, but at least it looks better than what we were watching from the other video, at the very least. So it looks at least a little bit like it's progressing, even though, again, it's probably a lot of, regardless, at least it looks a little bit better.
Interesting for you to hear about. First, a bunch of world model and graphic optimizations. You'll see here any item that hasn't had an optimization pass, at least on their static world model, is just going to appear as a burlap bag. Kind of like how Face Punch did with Rust.
A backpack? Bro, you can't release that for at least 5 years. Game's dead. You can't release a backpack without the game breaking. I learned that from Dark and Darker. You can't do that. It's not allowed.
Not really an important update, but just to add some more context if you see just random burlap bags in future videos. Next, a clean pass over the damage reporting and tracking systems. I know Unreal has some built-in features when it comes to damage, especially with gas, but I wanted something a little bit more specific for this project, especially something that can be easily stored and communicated with the database. One thing I do need to clarify here so it doesn't confuse people is that these damage printouts and health values that you're seeing on screen are...
Oh, that just looks like... Oh, he definitely is like going the Dark and Darker type route. Do you see that? The skill?
Here, so it doesn't confuse people is that these damage printouts and...
Yeah. I mean, he's going the exact same system that Dark and Darker is going for. That looks almost exactly the same, minus like maybe a little bit of cosmetic detail. Like the way it looks is a little different, but it's the same idea.
Health values that you're seeing on screen are not going to be part of the actual game. They're just appearing here for testing purposes, and so I could get a better feel of the network response. And with this new damage system, means I can make more complex interactions with the existing combat system. Again, as I'm building out the foundation...
Here's a legitimate question. Do you think that there is room in the extraction melee genre for a game that looks and feels very similar to Dark and Darker that could be good enough to actually replace Dark and Darker? Because all the melee extractors coming out are very different from Dark and Darker. Like Misfall Hunter is third person, Souls-like. Naquan is like a zombie third-person extractor. Hunger is kind of like Hunt Showdown in a way. None of the extractions coming out really give me like direct Dark and Darker vibes. Bello's kind of common. I mean, okay, sure, but do you honestly think Ryan 6 days a week didn't decide on the spell wheel from Dark and Darker? Being that this was, I think he's even said in the past that Dark and Darker is his big inspiration for this game. So I don't think it's unreasonable to think that he probably took inspiration to make that. I feel like that. I feel like that makes a lot of sense. I mean, do you honestly think that he didn't get that inspiration from Dad? Because, I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious that that's probably where he got it from.
Of this game, I really don't want there to be any.
Oh, so we've swept. So we swept. We've moved on from the other stuff. We already went over the Dungeonborne, Mistfall, and Dark and Darker info. We're watching the project that Ryan 6 days a week is working on. He's been working on an extraction game for, I think, over a year now, I believe. Nowhere near to being complete, but I just wanted to see what kind of progress he's made.
Any technical limitations on what can be done with the classes that exist in the Underkeep.
You know what? You're right. I forgot about that. I think Ryan 6 days a week started on this game because he was so tired of Dark and Darker's updates that he basically wanted to make a better dad. I forgot about that, but I think you're right. That sounds right. Yeah.
There is a lot more I want to show here, but I think it's better to reserve that for when you actually get to play the game.
The Dungeonborne video.
In addition to those combat updates, I've done a wide pass over
it.
the puzzle system and dungeon interaction systems, since those challenges are going to be equally as important to the game. On top of creating a unique puzzle challenge for each of your character's primary stats, I also want there to be different challenges for the advanced versions of fishing, mining, herbalism, and any other skill that I implement into the game. Setting a strong foundation here will only make development in the future faster and more reliable as I implement more and more content. Now, what really makes this all possible, especially in a multiplayer setting, is actually something that I can't even really show in a YouTube video. To summarize it, I am developing a custom backend and database architecture tailored specifically to the Underkeep, which really isn't recommended, especially for a studio my size, which right now is just me. In most cases, it's a lot easier going with a pre-packaged and managed solution like PlayFab or...
I didn't realize that he was going at this solo. I thought for sure that he had to have a team with him. He must be... I mean, he mentioned 80-hour weeks. That's probably accurate. Because there's no way he's doing game development solo without spending almost every waking moment working on this game. I did not realize he was solo going at this. What saddens you about Dad is the development is slow, with little roadmap, no events, nothing too interesting going on. Just, yeah, I mean, the next season, season 10, it does have some interesting wizard and cleric stuff coming. But I would agree with you, generally speaking, that Dad updates have been relatively underwhelming for like the past year or two. I mean, the game feels very similar to where it's been. I mean, heck, we haven't gotten a cleric update in years. So I definitely don't disagree with what you're saying. Yeah, solo deving a melee extraction game sounds impossible. Like, that sounds so hard to do. I could never.
Game from
so
Amazon.
Crazy.
Going down that route would limit me severely in two very specific ways. One, it would prevent me from introducing some of the more advanced and unique guild, account, and progression mechanics that I find essential to the game. And two, I'd be locked into a provider that could increase their service charges immensely with very, very little notice. And right now, both compute and storage costs are going up quite drastically, mostly due to AI adoption. I really do think that this extra work and precautions here are going to...
Is there anything that AI is not making more expensive? I feel like AI has gotten, like... I feel like, man, it's just, I don't know. The price of everything is just insane, man.
Pay off in the long run. Now for you, the YouTube viewer, what does that actually look like? Well, unfortunately, it looks like this. Yeah, that is basically it. Well, honestly, it wouldn't even look like that. I actually just made this UI translation this week and a little bit of last week. Originally, it'd just be the game server talking with the back.
Fighter, cleric, ranger, wizard. Oh my god. Could you imagine if years down the road this game releases and it does well and he makes paladin before Dark and Darker does? That would just be hilarious to me.
Originally, it'd just be the game server talking with the backend, talking with database. You wouldn't see any of that at all. You'll have to just trust me here when I say it probably is the most important part of the project. It really made me understand how underappreciated backend and network engineers are on any kind of project. Again, for context, what you're seeing here in the UI on screen is not a complete representation of what is done. Not just from an art perspective, since it is missing all of the 2D art that I plan to implement, but from a systems perspective too, which we'll talk about in this next section. In the Underkeep, there are 3 main progression tracks: character, merchants or town merchants, and your guild. For this video, we are going to skip over character progression since
I'll double down on what I just said. Imagine if this game releases and it does well and it has a guild system before Dark and Darker does. That would just be so funny to me.
Skip over character progression since the ideas and systems around it are large enough that it deserves its own episode, maybe even 2. For your town progression, or town merchants progression, there are multiple avenues to success. For those that excel at exploration and completing dungeon puzzles and events, there is going to be a blueprint system in the form of schematics, similar to Rust or Arc Raiders. For those that prefer combat, either PvE or PvP, you could research successfully extracted gear, equipment, or materials with higher rewards based on the rarity and how it was obtained. For those that enjoy the pure brute force grind, you could exchange gold or XP for merchant upgrades. And for those that enjoy the more social or lore focused experience of the game, you can come across NPCs in the...
Isn't that just the truth? Here, like, just generally speaking, is it always comes down to, it doesn't matter how good your game is, can you keep cheaters out of your game? Cheaters have really become such a bane to the multiplayer gaming industry as a whole. It's always this whack-a-mole of trying to stop cheaters as best as you can. And no matter what you do, you can never fully get rid of them. But man, ain't that the truth?
Dungeon, complete their requirements, and hire them on as workers for offline and real-time passive contributions. For the guild progression track, things are a little bit different. Most of the progression is based around individual member contributions and can deliver rewards in the form of guild buffs, which are bonuses that can help you both inside and outside of the dungeon. This is where that custom backend that we discussed earlier really begins to shine. These are incredibly specific systems that don't necessarily force or encourage more PvP, which is technically a risk. The set standard in terms of endgame goals for the fantasy extraction space right now is the arena. You see it in Dark and Darker, you saw it.
Top 2 most played fantasy extraction games by Peak CCU have had an endgame focus on arena PvP. Is that true? Dungeonborne, yeah, I guess that is true, because Dungeonborne had Klothos. And Dark and Darker is like only endgame is PvP, or like arena, pretty much. Seeing Dungeonborne up here is very, very funny. Because when this video was made, there was no talks, like Dungeonborne re-release stuff was not even like being conversed about. Also, the odds of Dark and Darker ever reaching 57k again, I think, is almost impossible. I don't think they'll ever reach this kind of player count again.
In Dungeonborne, and in many ways has shaped the communities that surround those games, which is good. I think players enjoy that arena experience. However, and this may turn some of you away, the truth about the Underkeep is that at its core, it's an adventure game with an extraction mechanic. The true endgame is focused on the dungeon experience.
You know, this is always an interesting topic, and I think it varies player to player. Do you think that games like Dark and Darker, Misfall Hunter, even Dungeonborne at its peak would have been better if the development time spent on Arena was instead spent on other endgame activities? What do you think is the best endgame activity for an extraction PvP game? Like, is it Arena, like Dark and Darker does, or is that just kind of an easy thing to do? And really, the better solution would be something different.
And not the competitive PvP scene. For now, I'm just going to let you speculate on how that is going to look since we're only on episode 4 and I need to save some talking points for all the episodes down the line. Again, sorry this video wasn't as visually stimulating as some of the other videos, but that's sometimes the hard truth of development. The things that often take the most time are usually the things that the end user sees and understands the least. If you do want to see and hear some of the more exciting stuff,
You do? You don't like Arena? You play it for the dungeon crawling? I mean, my personal preference is that I don't really care about Arena too much. However, I think having like a private match is good. That way you can invite people and kind of fight as you want. I don't really care about Arena too much, personally. I can kind of see why people like it, though. It would have been cool if they added guilds and added 10 to 15 man raids. I don't know if Dark and Darker ever would have added 10 to 15 man raids. That sounds like past their... I don't even think they could do that. But guilds, I do agree with you. I mean, Dark and Darker said they were going to give us guilds years ago and they never did it. We were supposed to. I remember having like these grand plans for having guilds, you know, for you guys, viewers, to join, and then we could like play as a guild together, but it just never happened. I know Hunger is apparently supposed to have guilds. I think they're planning for that. You think you miss Midnight Walker's 2025 summer playtest? I think that was the time that I had fun with Midnight Walkers, like the one and only time. Midnight Walkers has been a real snooze fest ever since that one playtest we had. And after that, it was just really boring and bad ever since. They never recovered. I truly think that I really think Midnight Walkers is dead. I think they're gonna release an end of service announcement soon, and that game will never see the light of day again. They've already started letting employees go, so they're already working on a skeleton crew, and I feel like that's kind of the beginning of the end, really. They've already let go all of their community managers and stuff too. Yeah, that's something Dark and Darker never gave us, which is insane, is custom lobbies. It's crazy that we never got any stuff like that. Yeah, Dungeonborne has a it's like a sequel Dungeonborne 2 like game that the developers that were originally from the DB team are working on. We already talked about that earlier in the stream. You could rewind it if you want to like the beginning. I'll be ending stream here pretty soon, so then you'll be able to just kind of rewatch the VOD as you like. What do I think were its problems? Midnight Walkers? You mean besides the game just not being fun? That's a good question. I don't even know if I really have an answer for that. Truthfully, there was a lot of item swap. Like a lot of like random items that just felt like garbage and didn't really do anything. So I didn't like that. The combat was like too basic. It like didn't even have blocks. There was like the shovel had a block, but that was it. So most of the gameplay was like either W key, left click melee, or you had like the range kiting bartenders, which felt almost invincible to fight, or you had the rangers that were also like kind of ruining the game too. The game just wasn't balanced either. It always comes down to balance, I feel like. But yeah, the game just wasn't fun on top of everything. So it didn't really matter what they did when the game just wasn't really good. I think the game had potential, but I don't know. I think they really dropped the ball, man. Yeah, that's true. SDF did promise that Dark and Darker would balance around solos if he brought it back. And then he brought back solos, and I feel like that has pretty much been thrown out the window. Typical like SDF fashion, yeah. I don't believe they actually do much balancing for solo specifically. Not like class balance wise. If they did, then solo cleric would have gotten an update to their spells months ago. A year ago. But they haven't, so not really. Midnight Walkers and Dungeon Stalkers would have died with or without cheaters. Cheaters were a problem, but the games were dead anyway. I don't think cheating single-handedly caused the game to necessarily die or not. Truly, I don't think so. No problem, Neil. Yeah, you know what? I think Midnight Walkers, I think they might have even mentioned it in an announcement. I think Midnight Walkers rushed their release. I think the game clearly wasn't ready, and they rushed it out to appease either investors or they were out of money or whatever. And I think ultimately that caused the problem of the game like failing. I think if Midnight Walkers had released, I mean, I don't know, man. Even if the game released a year or two later, I think it didn't matter. I think the game was dead no matter what. Because I mean, again, Midnight Walkers got worse from playtest to early access. So realistically, what good would another 6 months to a year have done? I feel like the game would have ended up in playtest hell, kind of like Vault Breakers has, and it never would have released anyway. Or if it did, it would have been bad on release. Yeah, like you guys know about Vault Breakers. I played that game on my channel over a year ago. That game 100% is in playtest hell. It's like a third person, no, it's like a MOBA top-down extractor game. And that game I feel like is never going to release. I swear. I've long given up on that one. So there is a problem where if your game just doesn't release, eventually people stop caring. So that I guess that's a problem too, but Midnight Walkers definitely needed more time. It was not ready. Not gonna lie, you feel discouraged that any sort of PvP focused gaming has much of a chance. If there is PvP, it almost always feels ruined by cheaters. I mean, you just gotta deal with it, man. I know, I mean, it does suck, but I've loved games like Misfall Hunter, DaD, and whatever so much that I am willing to power through the occasional cheater to play the games that I love to play. I mean, of course, that might also be influenced by the fact that I stream these games. I mean, I'm not like shy about it. If I didn't stream Dark and Darker, I probably would have stopped playing it 2 years ago. I don't think I ever would have like after they removed solos the first time, I think I would have let the game go and never returned if I didn't stream it. I think that's like a very fair thing to say. Because I drop games all the time. This is what I do. So if it wasn't for streaming, I don't know if I would have had the same, you know, resilience that I've had on trying to hold on to these titles. Midnight Walkers isn't even trying to compete with Hunger. Hunger barely existed. Hunger didn't even really exist when Midnight Walkers was around. Hunger didn't even have an open playtest until a few days ago or last week or whatever. So I don't even think that's really much of a thing. Well, I mean, very clearly, a lot of cheating is influenced / incentivized by RMT. I mean, I think that's pretty much how it is in most games. Yes, right now, Dark and Darker has solos. They removed it at one point, but they brought it back because the game was dying without it. So they realized it was a bad decision. EFT, I think, is alive because, again, kind of like Dad, there's not a lot of options to play other than... Like, if you like Escape from Tarkov, there's not really any other options to do what Escape from Tarkov does. So I think that's probably why. You know what's crazy, guys? I'm old. I turn 31 in 4 hours. 31. I wonder when I'm gonna be washed on games and I won't be able to play them anymore. I'm gonna be bad. How long can I be a good extraction game player? Hard to say. Man. Unkbox indeed. I'm gonna be in my 60s trying to like play these extraction games. I can already see it. Imagine what this genre will look like in 10 years. I'm sure it won't die and we'll be here just the same, right? Surely, just the same. No problem. Hunger is nothing like Midnight Walkers, though. If you want to compare Hunger to anything, you should compare it to Hunt Showdown, I think. I feel like they're more similar. I understand losing the resilience to wanting to play an extraction game with, like, cheating and especially with how much shit is going on. I get it. But I stream the game, so... And I really do enjoy streaming extraction games. Like, streaming Misfall Hunter, to me, is so fun. There is nothing I think I would rather do right now than stream Misfall Hunter. So, my drive is definitely not gone yet. 33 is the cutoff, so I got 2 more years. Okay. No, I got more than that. For sure. For sure. Round-based PvP just isn't as exciting for the most part. I don't know. I don't know if I could ever really get into any current round-based PvP games. But most of them that are out just don't interest me. If Xaviant had sold the IP to The Culling and the game had been re-released and worked on, I would probably still play that. But there's no other good melee extractor or like melee games that I ever really got into. I did play For Honor a little bit back in the day, but that doesn't interest me anymore. 19 days. Oh yeah, 19 days till Misfall. Yeah. 33, don't say that. You have 7 months left. You make it sound like you're gonna die when you hit 33, bro. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty crazy that I'm going that yeah. I feel like from 29 to 30 was pretty slow, but I feel like from 30 to 31 has gone really fast. Honestly, this last year it really has felt so fast. I feel like part of it is that we've been in such an extraction game drought, and I feel like I've been like just kind of like I've been kind of just streaming and just doing whatever, waiting for like other games to come out, and it's just been so long, and I feel like the year has just kind of flown by from me just kind of, you know, waiting for like the next game or whatever, you know? I mean, Hunt's not really an extraction. Well, it's not a looter game. It is an extractor, but not a looter. But if you had to compare the gameplay, I would say it's more similar to Hunger. I don't know if you saw, Hunger looks pretty imbalanced. I saw some of like the endgame weapons, and they shoot really fast. So it really reminds me of like a full-on shooter game. Because like the early game is mostly the, you know, the slow reload rifles. But later game, it doesn't feel like that at all. So I don't really know how I feel exactly about like Hunger. I think the game looks good. I enjoyed playing it, but the game might be a little bit too much like a shooter for me. It's also very slow paced. Like I really like the faster paced gameplay of Misfall and even DaD over like Hunger's like general game speed. I mean, I did like it though, for what it's worth. You're telling me that 31 goes fast as well? So you're saying I'm gonna hit 31 and then I'm gonna be 32 before I know it? Yeah, that sounds about right. I'll probably be 40 before I know it too. That's what they say. They say the older you get, the faster it feels like everything goes, right? Can play Minecraft? Alright, I'm pretty sure if I played Minecraft on stream, nobody's watching me play. Who the hell wants to watch Minecraft? I wouldn't even have fun doing that. Minecraft is not a game that I would like actively play. I used to love Minecraft, but we're well past that point, man. We're well past that point. Yeah, Endgame Dark and Darker. I'm sorry, Endgame Hunger does make me wonder if the game is gonna feel ultimately more like a shooter than a melee game. I don't know. I feel like the slow-paced part of the game, and then on top of it, seeing like how good some of the guns can get. I don't know. I like melee combat, man. That's what I like, and I don't think I'm gonna get that from Hunger necessarily. I feel like Misfall is just a better choice for me. I think Hunger's a good game, and I think there's an audience that is going to enjoy it a lot. I just don't know if I'm the intended audience or not. Every game has more viewers than Dark and Darker, though, don't they? Right? Like, DaD's viewers right now are pretty low overall, I'm pretty sure. DaD viewership only goes up when there's Twitch drops at the start of a season. As soon as the Twitch drops are gone, and like the season's like halfway over, the viewers are pretty much gone. Like, I've seen DaD viewership at like 300 or less in the last couple of days. I feel like I think one of the downsides, or one of the things that I don't like about Dark and Darker, is that there's not much endgame activity. I don't really like Arena, and I feel like Dark and Darker has made half of its identity Arena focused gameplay. I mean, even the tournaments are like all about Arena. So, I don't know. I think just the fact that I don't really care for Arena very much is like a big part of it. It's like driving home and then you think, did I just forget to drive home because your brain has so many of the same memories it doesn't store it anymore? Well, damn, now it's just getting depressing. That reminds me of when I like watch or do something and I'm like thinking of something, and then I realize that I've been watching something for a few minutes and I don't have any idea what actually happened. Even though I've been watching it for a few minutes, I wasn't paying attention. That's definitely happened before. Yeah. Well, Dark and Darker started as like the dungeon crawler extraction game. And unfortunately, for us consumers, there's been no real competition for Dark and Darker. So we've been kind of just waiting for like any game developer at all to release a game that's actually good. It's why I was so annoyed at the whole Mistfall, like being not sure about what they're gonna do about solo play. Because I would like Mistfall to potentially be a main game of mine, but I can't, like, Mistfall can't really be my main game if they don't have true solos. So, like, I don't know, it's hard to say, like, what that'll look like. I'll have to wait until launch to, like, really see, but yeah, like, if I want to be able to have, like, a full season's worth of content in Mistfall, like, I definitely cannot be hindered on, like, what I can do solo, because ultimately that is what I like to do, is play solo. Well, my dad is, he's 50 right now, and he told me that once he hit his 50s, that his vision started getting worse. He said that when he sits near, like, a computer, he has, like, focusing issues. So he'll, like, look at the computer and he can see fine, and then he'll look at his phone and it'll be blurry. And then if he stares at his phone for long enough, his eyes will, like, refocus, and then if he looks back at the computer, he can't see again. Apparently that's something that happens when you get older. So I'm definitely not looking forwad to that one. That sounds absolutely miserable in every way, shape, or form. Ad Mortem looks cool. Which one is Ad Mortem? That sounds similar. Or that sounds familiar. Oh, that game's not out yet though, right? Yeah, that's another game that's possibly on my list of games to try. But I don't know when it's gonna release. Yeah, I forgot about that one. I think they're supposedly doing some kind of they're gonna work with Dark and Darker or something, aren't they? Some kind of promotional event or something, I think. A brain update? Unfortunately, I don't think there's any updates. Unless you're really rich, then maybe you can get something. Gotta be real rich, though. Your mother and father both had glasses for as long as you've known, and you're 32, and you think your eyes, you gotta get checked. I've had glasses since I was in middle school. Yeah, ever since middle school, I've had them. I pretty much don't really know life without them at this point. I'm wearing them for so long. But yeah, apparently that's just a thing when you get older. Apparently it's most common when you're in your mid 40s, or no, like mid to late 40s. I think so, is when it starts to happen the most. That happens to you. You spent time staring at your computer, and then when you get in the car, it's challenging to get focus on stuff far away. Alright, yeah. So you're getting the same thing that he is then. That's what it sounds like. Yeah, fortunately or unfortunately, if you're rich, you don't have to worry about it as much, right? There's always some surgery out there that'll get stuff fixed if you got enough money to throw out, right? Usually. I gotta finish this video.
About the Underkeep, do join the Discord. I have it linked below. And thank you as always for watching. Gamers, this is a rather short video, especially for the amount of grind that it took to get these systems in place. So I'll probably end up spending this weekend doing a little bit of gaming, at least catching up on all the new experiences that are in the fantasy extraction space. I know Dark and Darker just got a wipe, which actually I think is 2 weeks ago, so not just a wipe. Legacy, now called Eldegard.
Not Legacy. Not Legacy called Eldegard. No, not that game. Oh boy.
Also got a pretty big update, and I think I might have missed some of the playtest that happened with Shadows of Chroma Tower, and unfortunately, which I was really excited for, Expedition into Darkness. So I definitely have some catch up to do in regards to the gaming front. Gamer.
Oh my god. The casual shout out to Legacy, Steel, and Sorcery. Oh boy. Oh, that's so sad. Oh man. You know, I enjoyed Legacy when it first released. Like way back in like the alpha slash, I don't know, like the very first like few days or week of release. I really did enjoy it a lot. And then it felt like every time they did an update, the game just got worse and worse until the point where I no longer wanted to play it. Crazy. Yeah. You know what's funny? Remember when I made a video on my channel, like I think it was over a year ago, and it was extraction games to look forward to. I do regret, I still regret to this day not making that video properly with gameplay of every game I was talking about. Because originally the game was supposed to be a Dark and Darker video, and I thought, oh, I'll just talk about games that I'm looking forward to. And it really didn't click in my head to like show the gameplay off of those games. But I remember making that video, and I'm trying to remember if it was that one or a future one that I made. One or the other. I did not mention Legacy. I just chose not to mention it because I think at that point I stopped playing the game. And I remember there were a few comments and said, "Hey, why didn't you mention Legacy?" And I couldn't do it, man. Even all the way back then, I was still like, I was pretty much checked out of that game having any footing in like the extraction space. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. It was literally just, it was supposed to be a dad video. It wasn't supposed to be like a full on, I don't know, like the scope of the video just changed, and then I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, I did not include Legacy in there, and it was like, whatever. Just moved on. Your hearing is bad? My dad has hearing aids. He's always had them. I think my hearing is fine, though. At least I feel like it is. I don't really notice any, like, huge issues as far as my hearing is concerned, for the most part. I feel like it's fine. You have optical neuritis? I don't know what that is. It sounds bad, though. Hearing aids are expensive, I think. So if it's something you don't have, especially if you don't have insurance for them, they can be pretty pricey. So it could be a cost thing. Unless insurance does cover it and she just doesn't want them. They're free here? Oh, well then I don't know to tell you then. Yeah, I would say here in the old land of the free, any medical stuff is very expensive here. It's honestly like the worst part about living in the US. Yeah, that whole thing is very silly. We've turned this into old people dinner talk. I mean, let's be real here. It is Dark and Darker. I mean, or what was Dark and Darker we were talking about? I bet you everybody here is at least 25 years old. I doubt there's that many people here that are like in their teens. Probably not, right? I think Misfall Hunter will attract some of the younger audience, like younger players. There might be some teens, young 20s that play Misfall. But I feel like Dark and Darker at this point is mostly older people. At least I think so. Older people like me. $33 here? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess I can't say I'm 30 for much longer, huh? 30 for 3 more hours, I'm 30. There you go. Perfect. Alright, guys. I think I'm going to go ahead and call it there. Honestly, this stream went longer than I was expecting it to. I wasn't expecting this to be a... I somehow managed to make this stream into a 3.5-hour stream, which doesn't even make sense. Yeah, my birthday's tomorrow, or 3 hours from now. Yeah. I'll be gone. Well, I'm not really streaming much right now until Mistfall releases, but I'll be like doing stuff for my birthday on Sunday. Listening to someone more than a decade younger call their demographic older people? Wait, what do you mean? Antern, are you telling me that you're in your 40s? That's crazy. Alright, I mean, I'm guessing you are. No, Betwixt info is gone. Yeah, we're done with the Betwixt stuff. We've already gone over. I mean, it's literally a 2-minute trailer. I can't. How much can I possibly stretch out a 2-minute trailer? There's only so much I can do here, man. It's not. I'm not worried about it. Yeah, no, we're done with that. You're welcome to look it up on your own, or rewind, or you can watch the VOD when I end stream. Yeah. Yeah, the name is planned on being changed, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. Thanks, fellas. Thank you. Yeah, I'll be sure to celebrate it. However it is we're gonna do that. I think we're gonna do I think we're gonna do like dinner and games, and then I think another day we're going out to dinner. You ever been to a place called Kobe? It's like a sit down like hibachi place. We're gonna do that, I think, later next week. It'll be fun. Mid-40s? Hey, Jacko, you're almost as old as my dad is. Because my dad is 50 right now. So fun. Alright, guys. Thank you all for stopping by. I know it was a short stream, but you know, thank you all. I'll catch you guys later, alright? Peace.